Is rising. Only 2 cars left in the pit lane before we have a full grid. Take a look up to the lights, then we'll see the countdown coming on. You're going to count down. 5 seconds. Season 3, race 1 is under starters orders. Lights out. EERC is go, go, go. A good start from Richard. Look at the trying to keep the inside line down towards Bell. They're on the look at Mike Bell. Coming up right round the outside. In towards Cox Corner. A spectacular move. Oh, big crest. And that's really Barkley. Into the bollard then. That Hamilton swings it round the
Good evening, hello, and welcome back to EERC British Touring Cars in 2025. This is round 6 of our championship. After this, just 2 more rounds to go, and we are at Donington Park in Cheshire for 3 fantastic, fun-filled races. My name is Edward Hunter. Joining me in the commentary box is Mr. Ryan Ferris with Thomas Rashke. At the wheel of the safety car, you see just at the exit of the pit lane there as quali is about to begin, and Pascal Eggert beautifully controlling the cameras and directing the broadcast as ever. So as we see a very strong field congregating at the end of the pit lane here. This is obviously a key round in the championship, of course. We have a couple of interesting things to talk about, of course, with the championship itself, led by Ballast Kiss and the Simco team, who've all been doing a fantastic job. We saw last time out a couple of penalties at the Norris Ring, including for race 1, which was run on the road by Luke Mitchell, but Luke Mitchell was given a penalty for contact with Luca Gray, and that hands the first win of the season to Hunter Birch Simulation. So thought I'd just get out of the way now, because I'd be very surprised if we get too many more the way our season is going. But anyway, and from a statistical point of view as well, Peter Schooneman, we didn't talk about at the time, but he has passed it. He had a bit of a aggressive and messy time at the Norris Ring, but he passed. He's completed 101 races. He's completed another driver that's completed 100 races in EERC British Touring Cars, and you will notice as well a man who usually joins us in the commentary box on that entry list on the left-hand side, and that is of course the number 45 for Innovon, driven by Nick Homewood in what is set to be for the time being his final sim race. So Nick Homewood deciding he wants to have a last hurrah in that Vauxhall before calling it a day. From what's been, it must be said, he's been doing like the last 4 years in sim racing. He's had a lot of big successes, surprisingly, big wins in endurance racing, podiums in touring cars and Formula E. He's been a bit of an all-rounder, and it's certainly going to be emotional once we get to the end of the third race here at Donington. And but nonetheless, we still got our championship to look forward to, Ryan, and it is pretty close behind Ballast Kiss, but Kiss has easily been one of the standouts of the season so far, and it's really everyone else trying to pick up the pieces behind him.
Yeah, and certainly it's going to be who can beat Kiss. It's still doable. I think it's between Neuendorf and Zux being the chasing pack for Kiss to the end of the season, with 3 rounds left to go, including this one. And well, Donington Park, this is the last British round of the British EERC British Touring Car Championship.
Yeah, it's funny to think about, isn't it? Because of course we were at the Norris Ring. The last 2 rounds are in the United States and isn't it Austria, isn't it?
Austria, yeah.
Yeah, so so we go all over the place truly for this. Just thinking, I was just distracted by my chat, because on my driver saying I've got no setup today, so that doesn't bode well. But anyways, we see a new driver, Toy Wanko. I hope that's his actual name and not just an alias, because that feels like the sort of you go into a random name generator, that feels like the sort of name it would come up with. But anyway, Wanko goes 11th fastest, 2.8 seconds off the pace, ahead of Yuzu Chich. These are real names. These are real people, I'm assured. Yes. So we'll Lorenzo Raturovic, who seems to have added a fun chick subheading to his name there. I'm pretty sure his name is just Lorenzo Raturovic, but he goes 13th fastest. But it is as expected, because the Kings team have missed a couple of races. It looks like Luke Mitchell has gone a little bit further down in the top 10, down to 9th. So he's only got 15 kilograms on board, and that is why he is about a 10th and a half quicker than Ballast Kiss at the moment. But Kiss, of course, has got the full 75 kilograms on, as we see Nick Homewood also with 75 kilograms, of course, because he's not exempt from his own rules, going nonetheless a very credible 7th fastest so far, as we see almost a permanent yellow in the first sector here. So that shows you it's getting a bit messy after people cross the line.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty much from people doing their flying lap and then bailing out
Yeah, you can see
at the
just
end.
stopping at Corona Curve, isn't it?
So nothing to worry about too much there, as the first rounds of qualifying laps are ticked off, and we're already seeing some people going out for their second runs. As we look at Tim Neuendorf in 5th position at the moment on the standings.
Good to see Tim Neuendorf back as well, by the way, because of course he's a driver that had to miss the previous round of the season at the Norris Ring. Of course, his father, Peter Neuendorf, did actually luck into the as they all do. He lucked into the reverse screwed pole for race 3, but then got sort of taken out of the way by Noah Toemela, of course. So the pot racer team lost a couple of good points as a result of that. But of course, there is a drop to score rule in the championship, which you were sort of alluding to, Ryan, when you said that Ballast Kiss, while he's got that big lead, the others that have had to miss a round or two that might be flattered a bit more once the drop score rule comes into effect. Well, certainly once we get to 2 rounds to go, that's really when that's going to start to become a bit more relevant. But yeah, nonetheless, if you've got less scores to drop and you've got the lead that Kiss has, you're going to be in a strong position. As you see Tim Neuendorf go 5th fastest, just behind Jack Nichols, who of course is returning from his own absence as well.
Yeah, and Tim Neuendorf 3rd in the championship at the moment, and some 57 points off the top of Ballast Kiss. So hopefully he's going to hope that with the drop scores, Kiss might lose a couple of points. I don't quite see how seeing all the results of previous rounds. I think that's the only sort of jeopardy for Kiss, really.
Yeah, certainly. I think his worst result so far this season might be like a 7th or something like that. If I'll have a chance to look at it after qualifying is done. 3.5 minutes left to go as we look at Stefan Nilsson, who of course has also recently come back to EERC British Touring Cars. Not going particularly quick though. A horrible middle sector, about 2nd off the pace. But Luke Mitchell is going even quicker, a 10th up on the first sector and near identical in the middle, but fastest of anybody on track. Is he going to pull away from Ballast Kiss here? Across the line he goes. It's a 107.1, so he gains another 2 tenths in that provisional pole time. As look how messy it is, and is that the Hunter Birch wheel lifting there of, I think that's Oliver Hargitay, just starting his lap there as Jack Nichols goes 4th ahead of Tim Neuendorf.
Yeah, and typical touring car fashion over this shortened lap of Donington Park, obviously not going through the Melbourne Loop, and obviously just curb hopping over the final chicane, which is not ideal. You want to have all 4 wheels on the ground and full on traction.
I was looking, actually, Ballast Kiss's worst result this season was race 1 at Silverstone, where he was 18th and didn't score any points at all. Other than that, he's, I think, almost always been on the podium and never been outside the top 6 as well. Like race 3 at Brands Hatch Indy is like the worst result I can see from him. Maybe the Brands Hatch GP, I think he came P7. So these a lot of later few races where he's been struggling to get into the top 6 because of the ballast. As we see Jack Nichols well and truly wheel lifting over the national circuit final chicane. Towards the line he goes. Can he join his teammate on the front row? He goes 1 place better. Displaces Adam Zooks in the 2nd of the Simcoes, number 54, to get up to 4th. As Scott Mitchell-Marmon, the 3rd of our King's Cars, goes over the jump. And now it's his turn to pick his braking point. You're worried that they're always going to flip. It's not for the first time that a car is going to flip over. We saw it happen a couple of times at the hairpin at the Norris Ring as well, as Scott Mitchell-Marmon goes into the top 8 there. So Kings have really come back with a vengeance here. 3 cars in the top 8.
Yeah, certainly. And one of the details I quite enjoy watching at the moment is going through that final chicane and the curb hopping. And you can tell those who are trail braking through the final chicane because you see the rear wheel actually lock in place as it is floating off the ground.
Yeah, certainly. And here's Nick Homeward on his penultimate attempt, gliding through the air through that final chicane. His personal best in the first 2 sectors. Can Homeward get into the top 8 or top 7 here. It's 8th on the grid. There we go. Just ahead of Scott Mitchell-Marm there. So that will be the fly in the ointment for Kings Racing. They were hoping not to have to see Nick today, or that he would at least just be in the safety car. No such joy there, as that looks like Peter Nundorf now in the top 10 as well, just behind Scott Mitchell-Marm. Alan Axon, our independent championship leader in the Unlimited Esports machine. Ford Focus only in 13th. He was up in the middle sector, but the first two were not good enough for Axon there. So Axon remains 13th. And yeah, sort of mired in there with a lot of our new drivers right behind him, like Alessia, Chich and Vanko near the back of the grid, of course, as we go to Krzysztof Zazilski. His checkered flag is out, so it looks like Luke Mitchell is done. And look at how much Zazilski almost going vertical there as he goes through the final chicane. That could halt his momentum ever so slightly. Is he going to stay 16th? No, he's starting his lap too late there, so Zazilski's missed the cut there. 16th it will be for number 27, Optiminal Racing driver. And here comes Balaskis, our championship leader. Can he get anywhere near Luke Mitchell? He's within a 10th at the moment, but these first two sectors not looking good enough at the moment, Ryan.
No, and interesting, looking down the timing sheets, unless something's not quite right, I've noticed a few people have done qualifying with the medium compound tyres on, unless I'm mistaken. Like
Cypher.
Oh yeah, you're right.
David Granville and Toy Banco, the aforementioned driver in the Honda Civic. I think Luca Gray has just joined the server as well, but he's probably a little bit too late to get this final lap in, I think. So he is probably going to start from the back of the grid, unfortunately for him. But such is the way. Oh, no, Gray did get the final lap in. He is 18th on the grid, sorry. So I misread that completely there. So just getting it in at the death there. But it is Luke Mitchell that's going to start from pole position. As you see there, it still says round 1 Silverstone in the top right, as it has all season. Because who likes having to type in new words, right? And numbers. So Luke Mitchell, another pole position for him after a similar great qualifying at the Norris Ring. Can he get to keep the win this time round? Ballast Kiss, Mr. Ballast, right behind with a full tank on that car. Only a 10th off, so another really impressive qualifying from our championship leader, Luca Filin. We didn't talk too much about him. He is 3rd on the grid. It was a little bit up and down at the Norris Ring. He'll be hoping for better here. Jack Nichols, who, of course, won our opener at Silverstone very convincingly. Now back in the championship, back in the top 4. Adam Zooks backing up his teammate well in 5th position. He's got quite a lot of ballast on board too, because he is 2nd in the championship too. Tim Neuendorf on his return is 6th. He's the man 3rd in the championship as well. Mark Horvath. We've not seen Horvath this far up the grid in a while. He is P7. Oliver Hargitay, despite not putting a setup together, is right behind Horvath in 8th. Then it's Nick Homewood, his final qualifying in sim racing for the time being, in 9th. And then Scott Mitchell-Marm rounds out the top 10 and a 3rd of our 3 Kings cars. Peter Nundorf is 11th for Pot Racer. Roy Cypher is 12th for Optiminal. This is Roy's, I think, first appearance in a couple of seasons at the very least. Alan Axon is 13th. Jakob Alessia, his first appearance for Dalma. He is 14th, with Stefan Nilsson 15th. Krzysztof Zazilski is 16th for Optiminal. David Granville is 17th. Luca Gray just got a lap in at the end. He will start 18th ahead of Yuzu Chich in his first appearance, ahead of the similar independent driver Toy Wanko. Is it Vanko or Wanko? I don't think either of them sounds particularly correct somehow. Lorenzo Oterovic is our final qualifier on the grid. And then, hey, look, Thomas, it's you in the safety car, right? At the back.
Best qualifying I've done all season.
And Thomas has been competing the full season, by the way, for the Ducking Fast independent racing guy. In fact, there is Thomas highlighted there at the bottom. I think he's, because he's static in the pit lane and not actually out there right now, he is just represented by the garage here at Donington Park and the restaurant in the background, whatever it is, Jury's. But yeah, anyway, so really for the likes of Luke Mitchell, this is a must-win one for him, I think, because he is very much been played out of this championship, Brian. If you look at him, down in 9th, 102 points. He's nearly 100 behind Ballast Kiss. And he is the highest of even if you take away Ballast Kiss's worst result, which is the 18th from the season opener, it doesn't really help Luke Mitchell particularly. So, Mitchell has got to maximize this starting from pole. And, he's got to keep Ballast Kiss behind, which even with that Ballast Kiss's pace is such that we can't count him out at this pace, especially if he chooses to start on the softs and Mitchell starts on the mediums. It could get very, very tasty here.
Yeah, and obviously Mitchell missing out on 1 or 2 rounds, which was a shame really, because coming prior to Brands Hatch, I believe, he was running second in the championship, I think. But obviously through a few misses and a couple of less than ideal finishes, obviously he nearly got the win on the road last time out, but lost it. He's fell by the wayside a bit, down in 9th position, as you said, in the standings.
Yeah, and there was, of course, we did lose a race at Norrisring because we started so late due to the technical issues we were suffering, mainly because Nick, I think himself, was running it and he got held up by the snow. So that happened a couple of weeks ago. So we are back in full force though, as we see the warm-up ending and 14 laps of action about to begin then. And I was just saying to Luca Gray, well done for getting that lap in. He says it's probably better I start last because that was literally my first lap. So he doesn't feel confident enough. So I guess join the club, Luca Gray. But he is 18th at the moment. But nonetheless, let's see what tires they're starting on. At the moment, I'm seeing Luke Mitchell on the mediums. We'll have to see halfway through the first lap when everybody updates if that's actually the case then. Of course, Mitchell helping him will be his teammate Jack Nichols in 4th, and maybe even Mitchell Arm, his brother, in 10th. In the sister King's car could be a factor here as well, depending on how ballast affects things and also who's running the soft tires. Looks like it might be Phylin and Zux taking the gamble here. Interesting play from Adam Zux. He's got a lot of ballast and trying to counteract that with the soft tire, but it could be Kiss sticking with the medium. So all mediums on the front row, which is unusual for the first race.
Yep, and
we're about to go green.
Looks like everyone's arrived on the grid then, so check and flag out. And Chich has already jumped the start, but it's a monster getaway from Ballast Kiss. He's trying to go around the outside then of Luke Mitchell into the first corner here, which is Redgate, of course, but he's not quite able to do so. The ballast now coming into effect as they go down the Craner curves, and you see Ballast Kiss falling into the clutches of Luca Phylin, who might well be on the soft tire here. But that was a great recovery from Luke Mitchell. Did exactly what he needed to do, and it looks like our top 3 are starting to sprint away because Jack Nichols is under attack from Adam Zux as it's getting very, very mixed up behind.
Yeah, and filing all over the back of Kiss here and wanting to find a way through on that Ford Focus. It was a brilliant start from Mitchell. Obviously, he stood his ground into Redgate and managed to keep that position. And so Kiss is now having to deal with a fast starting Filing who's in with the soft tyres. He's in the slipstream as they come down to the chicane. He's going to have a look down the inside and through into second position. But he goes deep.
And he's going to go right over the curb too on exit here. So Ballast Kiss gratefully just goes right back down the outside. And now Phylin has got Jack Nichols to deal with. The former commentator trying to go around the outside then of Phylin into Redgate. And gets the bring in, turns across Luca Phylin. The Super Swede is not going to be too impressed by the local driver there. Jack Nichols taking no prisoners there. It's his first race in a while, and he wants to dust off the cobwebs immediately then in his first race of 2025. And look, now Adam Zux taking advantage as they sweep through the old hairpin there, and he's going to go alongside Jack Nichols on the long run through Starkey's Bridge into McLean's and Coppice. And looks like Jack Nichols is going to try and hold it round the outside. It looks like Neuendorf in, and Jack Nichols is round. Oh, and he's collected by Neuendorf and Hargitay. And straight into the wall goes Jack Nichols. It's that horrible bad luck coming back to haunt him. He rejoins right in front of Luca Graham behind, I think, Neuendorf, who's just recovered as well. But there's going to be heavy damage, I suspect, to all 3 cars there.
Yeah, and I
Oh,
also saw.
Stefan Nielsen is standing.
Yeah, I was just looked to see one of the Hyundais going into the barriers as well at the same time.
Nicole's cutting the chicane and going through the gravel. That's going to lose him a lot of positions here. He's being double teamed here. Around the outside go Nuendorf and Hargitay then, who have now had to pass Jack Nichols twice after being bumped into by him. Axon now. Oh, tries to assault Oliver Hargitay. That's not worked out well for Alan Axon, recovering from that bad qualifying and now having to get well out the throttle then to avoid being collected by the rest of the chasing pack. There's Tim Nuendorf. So it was Peter Nuendorf that was attacking there in the pot racer, and he's still attacking as well. And now we got Filin, who has got Ballast Kiss all to himself here. So on the soft tyres then, Filin has got a fantastic chance to take what would be his first win of the season here if he can clear Ballast Kiss quickly, which is certainly easier said than done. And meanwhile, Axon and Nicoles still dueling away here for 11th position.
Yeah, and just where Axon thought he was going to be having a go at Nuendorf, he found a mirrors full of nickels in the focus. But again, we're looking at Filing having a go at Kiss, but still not managing to find a way through.
Yep, so there we go then. Ballast Kiss proving why he's the championship leader, and Filan will have to think again. Of course, he hasn't got Nicoles right behind him to give him trouble this time. You have to say, I think Jack Nicoles will be wishing he had not made that contact with Filan and end up spinning around there, because that has really transformed his race, not for the better, it must be said. But yeah, certainly Tim Nuendorf also losing out there. Oliver Hargitay had a little bit of contact, but seems to mostly be okay right ahead of Mitchell Marm as they go once more past Starkey's Bridge, the viaduct in the background. What's the difference between a viaduct and an aqueduct, just out of interest? I can never remember. There's a big bridge that transports water, I guess. I think a viaduct doesn't do water, an aqueduct specifically is for water. So there we go. And we see a couple of drivers in the pits. Looks like Szylski and Nilsson are out of the race, and Chich and Granville are pitting for repairs. And now Filin is getting alongside out of the final corner. He bumps doors with Ballast Kiss then as we go into lap 5 of 14, and Luke Mitchell, it's really all going to plan so far once more. Luca Filin tries to go all the way around the outside of Ballast Kiss, but Ballast Kiss is just trying to back Luca Filin into Adam Zux and hope for the cavalry to come in time to save him. And we see Granville just after coming out of the pits getting a penalty potentially for speeding in the pit lane there.
Yeah, and Filin trying to hang it out around the outside, but it didn't quite work. We got Siffer up the inside of Nuendorf, and a bit of hip and shoulder there with Nuendorf, so he's had to drop backwards.
More bad luck for Tim Nuendorf, because through goes Alan Axon, and Jack Nicoles almost getting through, and does get through as well. So there we go. Immediately, they're all just stuck behind essentially the other Nuendorf, Peter Nuendorf, who's impressively stayed out of trouble to get into 5th, and he's dragged Nick homeward with him as well, as we see a penalty for Alessia. Where is he? That's Jacob Alessia in 14th, of course, who is a long way off of these battles at the moment, so he seems to have cut the track somewhere. And now Filin is having another attempt, but once more he's going to be stranded on the outside into Redgate, and Ballast Kiss just has to extend that braking zone. The Hungarian defending beautifully. The gap to Mitchell may be growing at the moment, but Ballast Kiss has got to limit the damage as best he can. He's doing a marvellous job so far as they go towards the Craner curves and into the old hairpin at turn 4, and you can see Adam Zux on those softs just hovering menacingly as we see yellow in the middle sector. Looks like trouble ahead.
Yeah, and it just seems like Filin's trying to coax Kiss into a mistake and potentially get the switchback, but Kiss is all the wiser to it and just hugs that apex, as Martin Brundle would say, like your best grandma.
Favourite grandma, yeah.
Favourite grandma, yeah.
There is no such thing as the best grandma. All grandmas are created equal. But there we go. Nicoles now having to defend from Axon, and now Axon has got to deal with a really particularly angry-looking Tim Nuendorf, who's just had a horrible start to this race, and it's really thanks to that contact from Jack Nicoles, isn't it? And now once again, Ballast Kiss it swats away Luca Filin into the first corner like he's like a fly with a little fly swatter. But that's no good for the moment because they are starting to lap traffic. So Ballast Kiss could well have to box clever here to keep Luca Filin at bay as Tim Noordhoff again just cannot get past Alan Axon, who, as we've seen in several occasions this season, a fantastic defensive driver and not the easiest man to pass. And we see, big crash, and it's Filin, lost his rear wing. So Adam Zux goes up to third, and I think it was Neuendorf maybe involved in that one as well.
It looked like I saw the blue Cupra. Yeah, there's the blue Cupra in the background.
That was one of the Dalmas, I think.
Yeah,
that's it. Must have been one of the Dalmas. As we cut back to live footage, it's not a replay. Here we go. So this is the Chitch, I believe, being lapped, and it was just contact between the rear of Filin and the front of Yuzi Chitch, I believe there.
Yeah, it kind of just looked like Filin hadn't quite realised that he wasn't clear of the back marker. And so went to go retake his racing line, but there was still the front bumper of a Cupra.
And
interestingly, he keeps going.
Yeah, Jack Nicholls makes another position, passes Roy Seifert into Redgate there, as you see Axon and Neuendorf continuing to duel in the background, and now that's Nick Homewood, who's got Scott Mitchell-Mom's been able to find his way past him, as has Oliver Hargitay as well. So Peter Neuendorf backing them all into each other. Has worked out very well for him, and is that Nichols off track again? Completely cuts, almost trying to go under the bridge there as he rejoins the circuit. This has not been a happy part of the track for Jack Nichols, and immediately Roy Seifert slips his way back through.
Yeah, just taking too much of the curb on the exit of the old hairpin, and that just put him into a right tank slapper.
And both Neuendorf and Axon getting onto the grass there, and now Luca Gray is going to have a run potentially at Alan Axon before too long, as we see Jack Nichols once more trying to retake the place. Breaks very, very late into, compared to Roy Seifert at least, into that final chicane. So Jack Nichols very much a man on the mission, and now he's catching up to his fellow countryman Nick Homewood here, so this could be interesting. Nick Homewood, I don't think has really had that many battles with Jack Nichols in the past, so great to see the novelty of the two on track together, fighting for that 7th position then, as we cut back to Mitchell Mom all over the back of Hargitay then, who himself fancies a run at Peter Neuendorf, who's defended incredibly well in this race. But meanwhile, up front, the top 3 positions, they really look done and dusted at the moment, because I don't see Adam Kiss taking points away from his teammate, Adam Zux, taking away points from his teammate Ballast Kiss there. They're not related. So many of these teammates are related. I get so mixed up sometimes. Oh, look at this. Is that Nichols having a run in to Coppice on Nick Homewood, but having to slot back to the outside, and now Seifert joined the battle too, as we get a penalty for Oliver Hargitay. So he's clearly cut the track and ran the outside. Goes Scott Mitchell-Mom. So that's disastrous for the Hunter Birch driver.
Yeah, and it looks like it probably came from a mistake, that final corner cut that gave him the penalty, and it looks like he's diving into the pits.
Yep, so that's going to promote Nick Homewood to 6th then. A gift, I think, from Oliver Hargitay there, and Jack Nichols too, not letting that earlier spin, and I think he was the only one, ironically, that got away without any damage from it. I think he did hit the wall though, didn't he? So
I was going to say, I don't know how on earth he managed to get away without any damage, because he really clouted that inside barrier earlier.
He certainly, his pace hasn't been that badly affected, as we see Luca Gray all over the back of Axon. Tim Neuendorf has finally cleared Alan Axon, and now it's Luca Gray's problem effectively. See, and now Gray gets a penalty. It's all falling apart for Hunter Birch with these corner cuts at the moment. So it's clear to see who has not been practicing for this event, it must be said, without wanting to be too harsh on my drivers. But yeah, I guess that that explains why they can't keep it within the white lines. And now Jack Nichols gearing up for another attack on Nick Homewood here, as Scott Mitchell-Mom is all over the back of Peter Neuendorf too in the battle for 4th. And these are the highest battles on track. You see a little tribute on the back of Nick Homewood's livery. I think there's like a parchment, like a Ark of the Covenant sort of thing going on the back of Nick Homewood's car. I didn't have time to read that, but there we go. It says, "So long and thanks for all the fit." No, it's a Hitchhiker's Guide reference. Sorry, I saw the sort of parchment, but no, that's actually a screenshot of a dolphin. diving in the air. So it is a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I'm surprised Nick Homan went for the number 45 and not number 42 for this one. But there we go. Homewood now defending stoutly from Jack Nichols. Jack Nichols certainly not shy about brushing the limits here, but Nick Homewood not making any big mistakes here. This is the part of the track where Nichols has come to grief before, and Nick Homewood just defends the inside, defends him of the road, forces Jack Nichols to go wide off track, and we see somebody going completely off into the kiddie litter. It's one of the downers.
Guys, yeah,
I believe that is David Granville or Lorenzo Aterovich, one of the two. Could be Yuzu Chich. No, it wouldn't be Yuzu, would it? Because the YC Racing Honda is red and black. So it must have been Granville or Aterovich that we saw collide with Luca Filan earlier. Filan's still going in 13th, by the way. Still behind Oliver Harkatai, despite missing the rear wing. So he's sort of sandwiching the 200 perches at the moment. And here we go, up the inside. Into Redgate comes Jack Nichols, and he's made the move this time. That was very decisive this time around.
Yeah, and Nichols has been really good on the brakes, I've noticed, especially into the final chicane. He really closed the gap on Homewood, but Homewood isn't done yet. He's sizing him up into having a look. No, he's not having a look into the old hairpin, but is he going to have a look up into McLean's? As recently we have seen Nichols taking a bit of a wide line.
Here comes Tim Neundorf up the inside of Roy Seifert, who compromised his line out of the old hairpin into McLean's. He takes that 8th position. So finally some good news for Tim Neundorf, who's not really had a particularly positive race until this moment, but is now starting to recover. So he's cleared Roy Seifert. Next target will be Nick Homewood, desperate not to lose another position. Of course, it's still the Peter Neundorf train, which is helping Tim Neundorf at least, because his father is holding up a train of cars, led, of course, by Scott Mitchell-Mom and Jack Nichols now, as we go into the penultimate lap here. So Tim Neundorf will have to make these last few positions quickly if he wants to get into the top 6 or top 7 here. But certainly Peter Neundorf has done a standout job here. While others have tripped up, he has been absolutely flawless so far.
Yeah, and these laps really have ticked off quick and fast, really, because I did not realise we're into the second to last lap with such all the trials and tribulations we've had all through this race. But yeah, Neundorf getting up into 4th position and staying there so far. He's just got a lap and a bit left to hold on to that.
Oh, Nick Homewood really starting to struggle here on fading tyres. I think Homewood, one of the ones who started on the softs, if I remember correctly. Was he? No, he's on the mediums. It was really only Adam Zux and Luca Filan that started on the softs. So Zux has sort of just held position, hasn't he? And now that's what Nick Homewood has got to do to keep Neundorf behind. And only one more lap to go. Can Nick Homewood start his final trio of races in sim racing with a top 7? That would bode well for race 2 coming up afterwards. And now Scott Mitchell-Mom looking up the inside of Peter Neundorf. Oh, that was really, really risky. He flashes his lights, and now it's going to be a battle between the two Kings cars. Jack Nichols has had a wonderful comeback, it must be said. He's now going for that 5th position because Scott Mitchell-Mom has led him through for a final assault on Peter Neundorf, and it's Tim Neundorf getting past Nick Homewood in the background through the Craner curves there. Fantastic bravery then from Tim Neundorf, the Dutchman, getting through. And here comes Mark Horvath, who's all over the back of Hargitay, who's just got through for 11th. Hargitay recovering from that penalty, and you can see Luca Filan, I think, has put a new rear wing on in the background there. No, he hasn't. He's still struggling on, and Luca Gray just keeping him in arm's length. Luke Mitchell is about to win, by the way, for the Kings Racing team through the final corner now. He just isn't able to lap Wanko in time, but Luke Mitchell wins our first race here at Donington Park. Who is going to finish 4th? It is going to be Peter Neundorf behind the two Simcoes of Kiss and Zux. So that's Peter Neundorf's best result. That really makes up for a horrible race 3 at the Norris Ring last time out. Peter Neundorf really getting the result he richly deserves there, holding off Nichols and Mitchell-Mom. Then it's Tim Neundorf in 7th, Homewood 8th, Roy Seifert 9th, Axon 10th. Then this man, Hargitay, recovering back to 11th ahead of Mark Horvath. Then Filan and Gray now crossing the line. And it looks like Jacob Alessia is going to take the 15th position and the final point that comes with it. So then, let's see some replays of the action that we just saw. It was certainly an exciting first few laps, but I think once Phelan made that mistake with, it must have been Granville, I suspect, that he hit while lapping. And that could be a contentious moment, especially because Phelan's the only KV86 representing the team now, so that's really costing them in the team's championship, as we see that replay. Kiss not quite able to get past Luke Mitchell. It could have been a very different race if he had, but you've got to be honest, Luke Mitchell did everything right. And there's what happened to Horvath on the first lap, just drifting out very, very wide. I think he got a tap at the rear at the old hairpin there.
Yeah, look that way as we look further down as we see.
And Cecilski
Optiminal
being collected by all of the backgrounders, including Luca Gray and the Dalmas there. So, yeah, that explains Cecilski's early retirement. They did well not to flip over, actually. And this is the moment for Nichols. He's got Adam Zix alongside and lost it on his own. And, oh, no way that Hargitay or Tim Nunov could have avoided that in time there.
No, they just had.
And you see it. Is that Cecilski crashing again in the background while that was happening? Oh, yes. There we go. He's got a massive tank slapper at the worst possible moment from McLean's.
Yeah, I thought I saw a Hyundai going off in the background at the same time, and that's what it was.
This is a big lockup from Mitchell Marm, and that was why he had to cut the chicane. And that was how Homewood got through, and then Peter Neuendorf and Oliver Hargitay going either side of him. So I think I may have got Scott Mitchell Marm confused with Jack Nichols at that moment there, if memory serves. And this is Granville sliding off at Coppice, I believe.
Yep. And one of the Fringavons off in the background as well, for good measure.
Yeah, it certainly was eventful for all of the Fringavons today. Really, it was only Nick Homewood that sort of stayed out of trouble for the most part. And that's a replay of that collision there. Big damage to the Dalma too. It was Lorenzo Terovic. And that's a tricky one because I'm not sure Lorenzo could have really got out of the way in time there. He got out of the way for Kiss, and then, yeah, finally tried to go to the outside to the racing line. He wasn't clear. I think you called it perfectly, Ryan.
Yeah, and just unfortunate, really, for both parties. And that's Nichols having his tank slapper on the exit of Old Hairpin and just cutting out and doing a bit of grass cutting before going up to McLean's.
I'm also hearing, by the way, that Roy Seifert says, as we see Yuzi Chich going straight on. So I think that is a big issue with the brake pedal not working as intended there. Or just not braking in time. As we see, this is Phelan drifting without the rear wing, trying to turn it into a Formula Drift car there. Amazing save, actually. As I think the server is about to tick over. But Roy Seifert says, I believe, I forgot to change tyres, stupid me. So he was he using the old medium tyres that he practiced and qualified on, potentially? That would be quite hilarious.
Yeah.
So there we go. Luke Mitchell, confirmation. He does take victory this time, and I think it's pretty inarguable that he's going to hold on to that one, given the lead he had over Ballast Kiss, which was 3.5 seconds at least at the last time of checking. Then Ballast Kiss is second. Adam Zux used his soft tyres to get onto the podium, of course, but it could well come back to haunt him in the final two races where they'll have to stick with the mediums. Peter Neuendorf take a bow, finishing fourth ahead of Jack Nichols. Then it's Scott Mitchell-Marm sixth, Tim Neuendorf seventh, Nick Homewood in his final race one of his career in eighth. Then it's Roy Seifert ninth. Alan Axon finishes inside the top 10, just behind Seifert. So it was a good battle, really, from fourth all the way down to about 10th, wasn't it, in the end? Oliver Hargitay, after that late drive-through penalty, recovers back to 11th. Mark Horvath was 12th after a messy first lap. Luca Phelan tripping up over Lorenzo Terovic means he's only able to finish 13th, loses 10 positions. Luca Gray from the back of the grid had a few knocks, had to settle for 14th. Jacob Alessia, his first race, stayed mostly out of trouble to finish on the lead lap and in 15th, so get a point. Toi Wanko, 16th, ahead of Yuzu Chich. David Granville was 18th. Lorenzo Terovic survived contact to finish in 19th. Krzysztof Cezilski did not finish the race, and neither did Stefan Nielsen And we got good news, by the way, for race 2. Looks like Noah Tuomela in the second of the KV86 powerhouses is going to be able to join us. So Tuomela, who clearly had something better to do or had left the stove on during race 1, is finally going to take part at Donington Park then from the back of the grid for race 2, though. But Luke Mitchell with soft tyres at his disposal, but this time maximum ballast against the championship leader, Ballast Kiss. It's going to be difficult for Mitchell to make it 2 in a row here.
Yeah, and Kiss will also be on the softs as well.
Potentially, unless he saves them for race 3, of course.
Obviously, he's gone out in this little warm-up session with the softs on. So that indicates to me that he's probably going to go for the softs.
He's at least thinking about it, isn't he?
Yeah.
And look, Phylan continuing to power slide through the old hairpin. It's probably not the best way to drive. But I think he's trying to just get it out of his system, isn't he?
I think
he's even realised the rear wing's back on, isn't he?
I think he spent so much time in that last race with no rear wing on the car. He's forgotten what it seems like with rear wing on the car. So a little bit
of the
the
ultimate show-off, Luca Phylan. Yeah. Whenever he's on stream, he likes to showboat a little bit. And here's Toy Wanko, of course, getting his first race in the books. So let's see if he can build from that in his Honda Civic, of course. Certainly one of the more interestingly now. It's interesting these new drivers joined, but I never seem to be told much about them. They just sort of show up. So I don't know if Toito Vanko maybe has a stellar career in R Factor 2 that I'm not aware of, but certainly going to treat him like a rookie for the time being, though, Mr. Vanko.
I've been in contact with the two new people, with Toito Vanko and Yuzuchich, and I don't think they have too much of an experience running R Factor 2 league races. Although Yuzuchich told me that he did a lot of single player stuff in this game. So I think he's quite used to the game.
Yeah, that's certainly good to hear. And as I discovered, there are a bunch of other new sim racing titles like Le Mans Ultimate, made by the same developers, of course, that have certainly attracted a bit of curiosity as well. So certainly for those into endurance racing, of course, we sadly saw the demise of the endurance championship as Luca Phylan gets the final chicane all sorts of wrong and ends up in the barrier. So that's not a good sign, I would contend, for Luca Gray's second race of the day, the winner from Norris Ring. So certainly you're going in with no ballast. Certainly when you haven't quite got the setup nailed, it can be a bit of a nightmare.
Well, based on what Gray said earlier, that is effectively his first practice lap, because his first lap was in qualifying and his other laps have been in the race. So...
From what I understand, Luca is using the same setup from Brands Hatch Indy, the Indy layout. So...
No, he isn't.
Oh, okay.
Because he says it feels terrible.
Oh, you tried to give him a setup and then he decided to change it. Okay. Right, I didn't realise that I've forgotten that Thomas is actually still... doing all the setups for our team, because
yes,
seems to be the only one that's just around in that server. But anyway, so
I don't know.
Certainly one of the most comedic seasons under Burt Simulation, but at least we do have a win under our belt, which continues the theme of getting at least one win each season, which is certainly nothing to sniff at. But I think Teams Championship, we can probably forget about that at this point, because we haven't really got two team point scoring cars. So let's just see if we can get some good individual results in these final couple of events. But nonetheless, it's really for Simcoe, another double podium. You've got to say, they're just managing everything to perfection, and Phylan was really the only one, apart from, of course, Luke Mitchell, that could have presented a big issue there, and he ended up kind of taking himself out. And look, he's decided, you can see the rear wing just lying at the final chicane there, so clearly he's found somebody to take it off his hands. He's maybe selling it for a bit of spare change, maybe. His real... Luca Phylan's becoming the Del Boy of EERC British Touring Cars, isn't he? Just chopping and changing quite literally as the race goes on.
Yeah.
Well,
oh, and another whack for the wall. As if it's not badly damaged enough, that poor Vauxhall.
Actually, it's a Toyota Corolla.
Oh, it's a Toyota, you're right.
Yeah.
I forgot. I think they did run a Toyota last season as well. I don't know where the Vauxhall came from.
It's been battered so much it now looks like a Vauxhall, but
I don't know what it is at this point. It's just a purple, battered and bruised banger racing car at this point.
There's nothing in the rulebook that prevents Thailand to run the same kind of setup again.
Well, no, he can't run the softs again. He can't run the softs again.
No, I mean the no rear wing strategy.
Wow, Luca Gray is feeling a bit outshone in terms of the crashing during practice antics. So he almost deliberately tried to go as much over the curb as he could there to try and fly over it. But yeah, Luca having some fun out there, which is good to see in the 56. Which, fun fact, wasn't really originally... Well, originally it was the car he was supposed to drive. And then because he had to miss Silverstone, it became the non-point scoring car for the team's championship. And then we ended up just putting him back in it just so he didn't have to serve any more grid penalties when our other second driver, Magnus Hockenhauer, decided he'd had enough. So, yeah. Sometimes you can just get a lot of points just by sticking with it, even if you're not finishing particularly high up in the points. As long as you are in the points, you do get a few points. So, yeah. That's apparently what passes as insight in this commentary now, as I'm desperately trying to fill, because this has been a long practice session ahead of race 2. Feels like we could almost have held another race in the middle of race 1 and 2 here. But yeah, Tuomela, it'll be interesting to see how he does. Of course, since he didn't get to do the first race, it's basically a choice of which race he wants to do the medium in and which race he wants to do the soft in, essentially. And I would contend from the back of the grid, he probably is going to try and gain as many positions as he can in race 2 and start on the soft to try and get in that reverse grid draw.
Yeah, he has been in this last practice session practicing on the softs, so that, as I said earlier, with Kiss, potentially indicates that he's going to run the soft in this first race for him. As we look at, Peter Schumann, as we said earlier, in the 100 club now.
Yeah, 102 races completed, I believe, for Schumann.
Actually, no, I think the race just gone was his 101st, wasn't it?
I think race. Oh, did he not start? Okay, so he has still done 101 race. 102 will be the next one, I guess. So you are technically correct, Ryan, which is the best kind of correct. It's David Granville. Not really had too many people to fight with Paul David Granville, other than his teammate Lorenzo Terovic. So really, David needs a lot of mixed up factors to go his way, essentially. But race 3, we could have rain because it is random weather rather than real life weather, as race 1 and 2 we'll see.
I'm just surprised that we're actually in England and it's not rain anyway. It's usually a given.
It's been too cold and miserable to rain lately. So in January,
there's been snow in places. I mean, I don't know if they have that yet on R Factor, but
yeah,
well, I think funny.
We do have the wacky inflatable arm-filling tube man in the background, though, in the crowds, which is great to see. I always remembered it in the background because it's quite prominent in one of the camera angles they have of the start at Spa. It just has the tube man going crazy in the background, so you could see it just at, I think, the exit of, I believe it was McLean's, I think, somewhere between McLean's and Coppice, and the sort of crowd shots there as we see Tuomela just going a little bit deep into turn 1, and the rear tires touched the grass and he had to wrestle to get back control there, which is after Tuomela had a very, very messy event at Norrisring where he went way too deep into the hairpin. I think he'll be glad not to be on a street circuit because it didn't really play to his strengths, did it? He likes to have lots of runoff that he can do crazy things into now, Tuomela.
Yeah, and obviously we had a couple of crazy dive bombs from Tuomela and a couple of instances where he did go for a gap that didn't exist. So it'll be interesting to see what he's done. Obviously, he's shown up and done a few practice laps, and he seems to have pretty decent pace. So he's definitely going to be someone interesting to watch come through the field.
Ooh. Peter Schoenemann is actually behind me on the grid. And I'm not even driving. It has happened again.
I've just been sent a message from, well, actually, I say just been sent, I mean, half an hour ago. Remco Dizeo, team boss of Optiminal, sent me a message of a group chat between him and Roy Seifert. He says to Roy Seifert, "You did qualifyings on the mediums." Roy Seifert says, "I know," and then he's put up a gif of Charles Leclerc saying, "I am stupid." So... Alright, so Seifert then is in 9th on the grid, though, so he's still got a good chance of potentially getting his softs out of the way here. This is where strategy is going to become really interesting, because we know Zux and Phylum will not have the softs available, but everyone else potentially might go for it, unless everybody's going to be just saving them for race 3, which, if it rains in race 3, it'll become immaterial anyway, really. So it is a gamble, and off we go for race 2 then. Luke Mitchell leads the field away, makes a much better getaway from Ballast Kiss this time around, and he needs to, of course, because he hasn't got the balance advantage. In fact, it looks like Ballast Kiss is starting on the soft tyre here, with everyone behind on the mediums all the way through to Hargitay in 11th then. So this is strategically fascinating then, but it's Mitchell that holds the lead then. Oh, and off goes, that must be Phylin, I think, in the KV86, just completely cutting the corner. One of the, that looks like Horvath, I think, in more trouble in the background as well. Certainly Luca Gray hitting difficulties as well. So all of them struggling at the back. Both Hunter Birches and Ranko and Horvath then, and Schoenemann too, for good measure, not making a brilliant getaway either. Although he actually was at the very back of the grid, so I think Schoenemann has gained a few positions actually. But anyway.
Yeah. Looked like Hargitay off in the barriers at Hollywood. There was a bit of a tangle going on up there.
Hey, am I saying this correctly? Tuamela is up to 10th already, just past Nick Homewood. So he has gained over 10 positions on the first lap alone. So that shows you just how chaotic it's been behind sort of the top 7 essentially. But look at this, side by side between Homewood and Tuamela. Can Nick Homewood get back in front at Redgate? No, he can't. So it's the 2 KV86s side by side. Now Scott Mitchell-Mom is having a go at Peter Neuendorf. Then Neuendorf has let his son through into 5th position, and now Scott Mitchell-Mom fancies to be given the same treatment too, but he's had to fight a bit more to get through into the old hairpin there. So Peter Neuendorf now in race 2 starting to struggle to hold on to these positions without so much chaos for him to take advantage of. Keep your eyes on Tuamela, making good use of those soft tyres as well. Sadly, the other 2 soft tyre runners, Wanko and Hargitay, are at the very, very rear of the field, so they've clearly hit big trouble on this opening encounter here. As we see Schoenemann has got Luca Gray all over the back of him. Gray dispatches Zizierski. Oh, big flip for Stefan Nielsen, and Nielsen breakdancing at Koppis there, so he clearly got collected, I think, and spun around by the rest of the field there. Meanwhile, it looks like Hargitay sitting purple.
That'll be a safety car.
Is Ballast Kiss. So the safety car has been deployed. So Thomas Raschke goes on track. So Thomas Raschke will lead for the first time this season, luckily for him. But Luke Mitchell then leads from Ballast Kiss, Adam Zux. Jack Nichols is up to 4th then, ahead of Tim Neuendorf. Then it's Scott Mitchell-Mom 6th. Peter Neuendorf is down to 7th. Roy Seifert 8th. Noah Tuamela is up to 9th. And Alan Axon is 10th then. So Nick Homewood has fallen down to 12th then in his second race of the day, which is not great news for him. But that was absolute chaos there. Be interesting to see a replay from Pascal, if possible, how that Stefan Nielsen was looking at the sky there. So here we go. He's up the inside. I think that's Chich. Oh dear, Chich is around. And he just collects the back of Chich. And then you see Schoenemann and I think Zizierski hit Chich as well. But obviously, Stefan Nielsen hit him at much higher speed. And you see Hargitay coming charging in at the end of this as well. But Nielsen, he was thinking about going for the inside, switched to the outside the last minute, and it proved to be very much a catastrophic decision there.
Yeah, and seeing one of the Coopers, I didn't quite catch who it was, going for a move up into Koppis. And to be honest, going for a move into Koppis is never really on. You have to really be completely side by side to be able to pull that sort of move off, but he wasn't quite close enough, and that move wasn't really on Chich.
Yeah, certainly. As we see, I think we're still under safety cars. We're still looking at replays, and this is how Hargitay, got tagged by Fun. Big high-speed collision with the barrier there, and he did several 360-degree spins. So did Filin turn it? You have to say Luca Filin kind of turned across there. Didn't quite give enough space to Oliver Hargitay, at least in my opinion, anyway.
Of course. But
and there's Luca Gray just hitting the corner marker there. I think Luca Gray just lost it on his own and somehow kept out of the wall there. So good car control from Luca Gray as he almost goes under the viaduct there. And this is what happened to Jacob Alessia. Looks like 3 different drivers just lost control on their own and had to collect themselves up there. 4, including Luca Gray, actually. This is Horvath cutting across the cross. So that was absolute pandemonium, and then it got exceeded by the later pandemonium at Coppice between Chich and Nielsen.
Yeah, and interestingly, prior to that at McLean's, we saw Schoenemann pretty much almost pit maneuvering Suzuki in the Optiminal car. So Suzuki went
typical Peter Schoenemann.
partly round.
It's not worked out for either of them because they're 17th and 18th now. As we see, we're going to see a replay of not of Rashke but of Noah Toimella's start. Then, so somebody almost stalled it. He gets past the Dalma there, and then he's got clear air between the 2 Hunter Birches. He goes up the inside of Luca Gray, up the inside of one of the Fina Vons. Now he's behind his teammate already, and then we're going to get a good view of the collision there. Just feeling a little bit annoyed with Lucas Filin there, and I suspect Oliver Hargitay is going to feel the same way as I do. But no, Tomella just positioned himself beautifully there. He's got Homewood and Axon ahead of him now, and this is him breaking his way into the top 10, so he's about to pick off Homewood at least. Axon's going to get through, then Tuamella's going to follow him through then, I think, into Coppice. So that was just a really, really good launch off the line, and then everybody just parted like the Red Sea for Noah Tuamella, it must be said.
Yeah, and just really had a good handle over that Toyota. You saw him getting a really good exit out of the old hairpin. Unluckily for him, there was 2 cars parked in front of him, but just seems to have a real good handle over that car at the moment. Obviously, running on those softer tyres where everyone else is on the mediums, he is going to have, during this first half of the race, a bit of a tyre advantage, and you will see that he's able to get the car turned, he's able to get it accelerated out the corners slightly better than the others.
And he's the only driver in the top 10 that's on the soft tyres. I did say Kiss earlier was on the softs, but that was a glitch on screen, as we see a few more from the back of Rashke's car. But it must be said,
the safety car will go in this lap.
Safety car in this lap, and Rashke, it must be said, has looked a little bit more in control of the safety car than Nick Homewood has in his outings. So,
thank you.
But nonetheless, the field is clean. It looks like Nielsen is going to stay a lap down, unfortunately, after his breakdancing. But thank goodness the car is still in the race at the very least. But here we go. Looks like Luke Mitchell is backing the pack up, and Rashke is making a bid for freedom into the pit, or bid for the pit lane at the very least. And you see, when is Luke Mitchell gonna make the breakaway and go for the start here? Those 2 Simcoes lurking menacingly. They might be worrying about Noah Toimella, picking them off one by one, though, after this safety car period. And it looks like Luke Mitchell picks now to punch it out of the final chicane on the throttle. And the race restarts again as we go onto lap 7 then. And Ballas Kiss is still tucked up right behind Luke Mitchell, with Adam Zooks joining him for close company. Jack Nichols also keeping them very, very honest indeed. Nichols is desperate to get back on the podium for the first time since, I think, Silverstone earlier in the season. After really the last time I remember Jim Nichols being in the car was Zandvoort then, which was round 2. So Jack Nichols is certainly making a long way to come back in his first appearance of 2025. Somebody kicking up dust into the front of the field as you see Axon trying to hold Luca Filin at bay. Tuamella has actually taken it quite conservatively. Oh, I was going to say, they're getting all out of shape, actually, into McLean's there, as it's all getting hectic behind. Zielski being picked off by Oliver Hargitay on the soft tyres, though. So Hargitay making good progress here.
Yeah, and look like Grenville also going through on Zielski as well, so he's managed to pick off another position. And we look as they come round one more time, and Kiss really riding over those curbs, and that's actually cost him a little bit of time to Mitchell there. And he's now under attack from his teammate Zux, who's going to have a look. But at the same time, Nichols is having a look for third position.
Oh, someone is around back there.
Opens up right there, and I think Vanko has hit trouble. He's fallen near to the very, very back of the field, but brilliant opportunities from Jack Nichols to get through, and Tim Neuendorf is going to fancy a run at Adam Zux as well. So Zux being held up by his teammate has really cost him here, as Neuendorf makes contact into the old hairpin there, and now Scott Mitchell-Marmon in the third Kings car is getting involved. This has been fantastic for Kings here. They're getting all involved. This Filin has gotten a penalty there while going side by side with Alan Axon there, so Filin clearly cut the corner and has been losing out as a result. And now looks like the third Kings of Mitchell-Marmon going through past Adam Zux into fifth, completing the maneuver there. So 3 places lost in the space of a lap there for Adam Zux. But now Ballast Kiss has got to deal with Luke Mitchell in the head, but Jack Nichols crucially behind him there, as Adam Zux desperate to get back through on Mitchell-Marmon in front of him.
Yeah, and Zux started that lap challenging for second position, thinking, if I get past Kiss, I might even have the opportunity on Mitchell. As we see Filin coming through after another off-track excursion.
Oh, that was a big touch from Adam Zux on the back of Mitchell-Marmon there, but I think you're right. I think Adam Zux trying to protect his teammate and not make a move on him ended up backfiring there. He did have a little bit less ballast from finishing third compared to Kiss's second in race 1. But of course, he knows Ballast Kiss has got that big advantage over him in the Drivers' Championship. Jack Nichols, though, will be trying to protect his teammate now if he can. He's within 6/10 of Ballast Kiss, but Kiss is still 3/10 behind Luke Mitchell then, as we cut back to Turamella, who's finally past Seifert and is now right behind Peter Neuendorf, as we see actually Turamella getting a penalty there for his going off track just before that overtake there, as he picks off Peter Neuendorf then. So Peter Neuendorf would be grateful that he's going to immediately retake that 7th position once the KV86 goes into the pit. So all the soft tyre runners hitting trouble today.
Yeah, and in the meantime, Tim Neuendorf setting some fast purple sectors, and he's catching up onto the back of Jack Nichols, as we see some defending going on again. So that's Zux trying to get that 5th position back from Mitchell-Marmon.
Oh, and that's Jakob Alessia fighting with Peter Schumann, who locks up into Redgate, and now Hargitay on his softs fancies a run at Jakob Alessia. Let's see what the rookie can do to hold Hargitay, the Hungarian, at bay. Meanwhile, just a 10th between Mitchell and Ballast Kiss, as Jack Nichols, you saw on screen, set the fastest lap of the race. Neuendorf has joined the battle as well. So we've got the top 4 within 1.3 seconds of each other as we look at Axon there on screen. Let's have a look at this battle. As yellow in the final sector, just ahead of our 4 leaders here. Ballast Kiss is desperate to take win number 7 of the season then. He's won it almost feels like every event so far this season apart from Silverstone. He's taken at least one win.
Why is he not escaping?
But Luke Mitchell not able to break away here. So you see, oh, is that Yuzu Chich getting right out of the way in the YC Racing Honda at the final chicane. So Chich has clearly hit trouble, and it's the cause of that yellow flag in the final sector, as Horvath and Grey Jewel over 11th behind. But look at this, the lap times between our 3 leaders. Jack Nichols set a 108.0, a 10th quicker than Kiss, who is a 10th quicker than Mitchell. And then it's Neuendorf in the 107.8. So it's Neuendorf fastest of the top 4 here. And this is going to be absolutely fascinating, these final few laps, to see who is going to come out on top. Can Luke Mitchell hold on, or will Ballast Kiss steal the win? Can Jack Nichols hold on to 3rd from Neuendorf, or can he push forward here? And meanwhile, Adam Zux all over the back of Scott Mitchell-Marmon here. This could be a big payday in terms of points for Kings, but look at Ballast Kiss. He's got the inside coming out of Coppice. Can he get the run into the national chicane here?
No, and Mitchell going on the defensive, but Kiss not able to be close enough to make a move as they run over the curbs once again. It's Nuendorf, as we said, being the fastest of the four. He's going to hope to dispatch of Nichols really quickly, and once again coming over all four together as they come into Redgate one more time.
Yeah, problem for Nichols is that he can't really think about making a move on Kiss because he's too busy, preoccupied by defending from Tim Nuendorf. You see Oliver Hargitay after that horrific first lap going around the outside of Peter Schunemann there. You don't see that every day, and Peter surprisingly cooperative there compared to what I was expecting. So Oliver Hargitay goes up to 13th, and now Kiss is all over the back as they go into McLean's, and Luke Mitchell having to slow right down to hold up Kiss, and that's backing them all into Nichols and Nuendorf up the inside of Nichols into Coppice. They make contact side on. How do they both survive that one? But they're still side by side as they race towards the chicane. And Jack Nichols almost flashing his lights there in disapproval, or maybe that's a visual glitch there. Nichols somehow able to hold on to that position, onto the final spot on the podium from Tim Nuendorf there as we start the penultimate lap, and Kiss is almost alongside Luke Mitchell then. He's going to try and go around the outside into the first corner, and look at this, Mitchell Marm has lost out to Adam Zooks. Kiss temporarily takes the lead, but it's Luke Mitchell that's got the inside here through Redgate there by the skin of his teeth, holding on as they go down into the Corona Curves. What an awesome duel we're seeing so far, and it could go any of these four drivers' way here, Moran.
Certainly, as they're pretty much glued together coming through the old hairpin, and Mitchell really having to put on the anchors, and his only real hope is that he's going to hold up Kiss enough that his teammate Nichols can send one up the inside, but at the same time he's got Nuendorf all over the back of him.
Yeah, but full credit to Luke Mitchell. He's not really put a foot wrong. He's allowed Kiss to get close enough, but I almost feel like Luke Mitchell is trying to back Kiss into Jack Nichols so they can make it a King's 1-2 here. I wonder, Luke Mitchell, that's why he's just been so defensive rather than focusing on just trying to break away. But now we go to the final lap. He might play it safe and make a bid for freedom here. So Nichols might have to do the hard work on his own on the championship leader here as we start the final lap of race 2 here. Who is going to finish second in this race? Can Luke Mitchell sprint away here? He's defended brilliantly, but Ballast Kiss is so desperate to win this race. He's had it desperately sort of dangled in front of him like a carrot on a stick, but Luke Mitchell is going to make it 2 in a row at the present moment unless something very, very extraordinary happens here. I certainly wouldn't rule it out in this final half a lap.
No, and obviously coming on to that start-finish straight, Mitchell got a really good getaway. He managed to pull a couple of car lamps on Kiss, which has given him a little bit of a breath of fresh air. But into the second half of the lap, Kiss is right with Mitchell again, but Nichols is having a look now.
Yeah, it looked like Luke Mitchell almost backed Kiss again just before Coppice there. This could be the final opportunity for Nichols to get through. All three converging as one. Jack Nichols switches to the outside. Tim Nuendorf pounces, is going to wait in anticipation to see what happens here. Will Nichols be able to duck underneath? No. It's going to be a run to the line then. Luke Mitchell wins 2 in a row here at Donington Park, and it's Kiss that's going to hold on to P2 by the skin of his teeth from Jack Nichols and Tim Nuendorf. What an excellent duel all four of those put on. Adam Zooks takes 5th from Scott Mitchell-Marm. Then it's Peter Nuendorf, another top 7 for him with Axon in 8th. Roy Seifert takes 9th for the second race in a row. And Nick Homewood again rounds out the top 10 from Luca Gray. Then it's Mark Horvath and Oliver Hargitay, the highest of the soft tire runners. And look at that on the run to the line there. That was Filin. I think just got past David Granville. As Krzysztof Zielski decides there is another race to go, Krzysztof. You can need that car. Don't bin it completely. But there we go. Deciding to end it in a fireball of glory. If not on-track glory, then post-race glory. So let's see a couple of replays here as we see Toy Wanko making a little bit of a difficult one. Is this the driver we saw come right to a halt? And I think this is exactly very similar to what we saw in race 1 there. Him just coming right to a halt after the start-finish line. But Vanko was the one who, just before the safety car, I think or just after the safety car, had stopped at the 3rd sector, just in front of the pit entry for some reason.
Yeah, I didn't catch what happened. I don't know.
Oh,
Look, the
that's
car's on
what
fire.
happened. Yeah.
That's what happened. That'll do it.
And this is usually Chich, so this is why Chich didn't finish the race. Oh, and Stefan Nilsson nearly got collided with Chich again there. There's almost a rerun of what happened earlier. Chich exploding and coming to a halt right in front of him. As we see Alessia dipping into the kiddie lid and almost being collected by one of the Dalmas there as well. As we see Schunemann, a little bit of wheel lifting and then some lawnmower racing temporarily there. As that cost him a little bit of time.
Yeah, and I think with Chich, as we see Granville also having a little bit of an off-track excursion at Redgate and losing a position. But I felt with Chich that was just a case of downshift. It looked like he probably downshifted a bit too early and overrevved the engine and, it exploded in spectacular fashion.
Yeah, certainly, the race wasn't going too well before that, and just one little mistake. It sounds silly, but it's so easy to do. I remember Jene Simičić did exactly that in a Formula Sim racing race. That he was in the net lead of essentially, and he downshifted because he had the push to pass button right next to his downshift button. So he downshifted into neutral and then just overrevved the engine when he thought he had shifted up. Because he had the buttons in exactly the same position on the wheel, essentially. So ergonomics sometimes can, if you haven't got them sorted out, they can backfire on your wheel. But nonetheless, second win in a row then for Luke Mitchell. And all of a sudden, it's another race where Mitchell and Kiss are 1-2. So Kiss doing well to limit the damage, but you've got to feel for Luke Mitchell, if he can keep a winning streak going, and potentially he is not completely out of that championship yet, as you say, Ryan. But yeah, Ballast Kiss putting out all the stops to keep Jack Nichols at bay, and that's Nichols' first podium, I believe, since Silverstone. So great to see former sim racing and real life commentator back on the podium and doing a great job for Kings, who desperately need those points in the Constructors Teams Championship. Tim Neuendorf had some great pace at the end, couldn't use it to get through, but nonetheless back into the top four for the man that won at Zandvoort. Adam Zux got back past Scott Mitchell-Malm for fifth, so it's a case of what could have been for Zux, who was third on the grid, of course. Peter Neuendorf holds on to seventh from Alan Axon, then it's Roy Seifer in ninth. Nick Homeward once more in the top 10, of course, which is great news for Nick. Ahead of the reverse grid draw for race 3. Then it's Luca Gray in 11th, Mark Horvath 12th, Oliver Hargitay 13th, Peter Schumann 14th, and Noah Tomella somehow takes the final point with Luca Filin just beating David Granville over the line there. But it was nothing to choose between the two. With Krzysztof Szylski 18th, Jakub Alessia 19th, Toytai Wanko near the back of the grid in 20th, and then Stefan Nilsson, despite that huge flip, does get to the end in 21st, unlike poor Yuzu Chich, who caused that flip, then exploded the engine. But we did get to see Thomas Raschke have an outing in the safety car, so Thomas continues his 100% setting laps on track and does get to lead at least 3 or 4 laps there, I think. So that's great news for him. But
that
now
should
time
be my
for Pascal
first
to spin the wheel. Yeah, your first lap's in the lead ever, so enjoy it. You enjoy it while it lasts. You might get another chance here if race 3 is anything to go by. So the wheel is spinning. Where would it land? It's 9th position. So unluckily for Nick Homeward in 10th, it's Oliver. It's not Oliver Hargitay. Sorry, I was wishful thinking on my part. It's Roy Seifert, of course, that takes reverse grid pole position then for the final race of the day. I'm just reminding myself of what the grid order is going to be now, because obviously it's all disappeared on me.
Oh, but that means Nick won't start on the.
That's what I said, because he finished 10th, unless somebody has been. So there we go.
It just hit me. Oh.
Grid order provisionally should be Roy Seifert on pole position, Alan X on second, Peter Neuendorf third, Scott Mitchell-Malm fourth, Adam Zux fifth, Tim Neuendorf sixth, Jack Nicole 7th, Alice Kiss 8th, Luke Mitchell 9th, and Nick Homeward rounding out the top 10. So, of course, Homeward one of those drivers that saved the soft tyres, though. Along with, I believe, let's see, Luke Mitchell, Ballast Kiss, Jack Nichols, I think Tim Neuendorf.
I thought Ballast Kiss ran softs in the last race.
No, he didn't.
No?
I thought he had because it said at the start that he was on the softs, but then halfway through the first lap it updated and he was on mediums. So yeah, all of the top 3 have not used the soft tyre yet. Top 4, sorry. Adam Zooks used the softs in the first race. Scott Mitchell-Malm, I don't think has used them yet. I'm pretty sure Peter Nuendorf hasn't either. Axon, I can't remember. I'm pretty sure he hasn't. Roy Seifert used whatever tyres he picked after qualifying, which was the mediums ahead of race 1. And Nick Homewood, I think, has also been saving them. So drivers I know that have used them are Adam Zooks. Has Luca Gray used them? I don't think Luca has. I know Hargitay definitely did because he used them in the race we just saw. Koimela has. Eileen has. Used them in race 1. And Wanko has as well. So yeah, everybody else I think has got softs at their disposal here, but this is probably going to be the rig mix-up here. Even if it doesn't start rainy, could be a chance of rain if the weather is completely randomized here. But yeah, you got to say for Optiminal, remember we saw Joseph Herlock have that fantastic drive to second in the final race of the day at Norris Ring. Could Roy Seifert keep up that momentum from pole position? Because obviously he's got a couple of the less fancy, well, not necessarily less fancy, because Axon and Peter Nuendorf have had their moments this season. So Seifert's probably going to have quite a tough job. You would expect the likes of Mitchell, Kiss, Nichols, and Nuendorf to find their way through. Adam Zooks as well, potentially, even though he's not got softs to use. Scott Mitchell-Malm, I think, in 4th on the grid could look quite strong here as well.
And well, I looked. I had a glance earlier at the track or the venue's temperature, and I don't know if it was in the last race, but it was showing ambient temperature of 2 degrees, track temperature of 40 degrees.
Yeah, it's saying 2040 on the Optiminal Livetiming.
Now it's saying 2040, but
yeah.
I thought, oh yeah, I mean that is very much like what it is now at the moment here in England, being 2 degrees. That sounds just about right.
Yeah, they call it a simulation for a reason, I guess. But but yes, of course, ahead of our final race of the day, it's going to be Nick Homewood starting in 10th, his final race in sim racing for the time being. So I believe he's still a relatively young man. He's certainly younger than me, in his early 20s, I think, at least. But yeah, deciding he wants to focus on management and call it a day, of course. And Nick Homewood, not just shown a lot of service on track, but he's also served a lot in terms of his accomplishments in sim racing, of course. We've got something a little bit later on, which we hope to show to Nick once he has gotten out of the cockpit and back into the comms box, just so he's present and gets to experience it. But yeah, it's definitely a lot of on-track achievements in terms of endurance, winner of 2 endurance races, of course, in GT3 class. Multiple podium finishes, got 3 podiums to my knowledge in EERC British Touring cars. 1 in the first season, and he got 2 in the finale at the Czech Republic in Brno last season as well. With Thomas Raschke, we'll remember them well. And on top of that, he also has finished on the podium in EERC Formula E. So I'm pretty sure Nick Homewood is one of the few drivers that's finished on the podium in all 3 championships that EERC have done over the years. I think Pascal might be one of the others as well, though, to be fair, our race director.
He seems to not recall.
No. It's been quite a few. We've crammed a lot of races in the last few years. A lot of them endurance races where I can forgive you for not remembering what happens, because you really just you set the laps. The race is so long, often you spend most of it on your own, and then you figure out where you finish by the end. And by that point, you're so shattered, you can't really appreciate it.
I don't think I ever finished on the podium in BTCC, the others here.
Oh, well, you're being you're being very humble from my memory, Pascal. I'm pretty sure in the first season you might have sneaked a podium somewhere. Unless one of my guys dominated. I'm pretty sure there was a race at Fuji where I had 300 birches that just filled out the podium, which was a far cry from how things are going at the moment. Although certainly Luca Gray and Oliver Hargitay, both drivers I'm very, very happy with in terms of their performances. Just the luck's not always been on our side in certain situations. And certainly Luca Phelan has tapped us around a couple of times as well, it must be said, intentionally or otherwise. But I'm pretty sure it's just a unfortunate first lap shenanigans there. But I'm sure Hargitay will report it nonetheless, as he's wont to do, and as is right. As we see, now the grid has been set up very, very quickly now, unless we're going to qualifying for some reason instead of the race. So,
let's try out this new race format.
It's not a format. Somebody's quickly realised that and switched back to warm up then. So.
We were in practice session beforehand, so we just switched to warm-up. The grid will be set. Let's see if I will be last on the grid now or not.
Just picking numbers at random here, because that's what it feels like from this angle. Just pick a session, any session. We'll eventually get the right one.
I see. I'm P23 out of 22 cars.
Yeah, Luke Mitchell has said in the chat, that was an intense one. So that is interesting.
All right.
We're seeing the 22-car grid getting ready to do battle for the final race of the day. At the moment, showing 0% chance of rain. So this is where the softs will come handy then. For those that have saved them, looks like all of the top 12, apart from Adam Zooks, will start on softs, which is somewhat unsurprising. But this means our final race of the day could well be the fastest then. 14 laps in prospect. And it's Roy Seifert that starts on pole then. Ryan, he's got to fancy his chances of holding on to this first corner. What can Axon and Nurendorf do to stop him? Because they've got Mitchell Malm for company and Zooks as well.
Yeah, and, both Axon and Nurendorf, although it is Peter Nurendorf, have been reasonably quick and fairly competitive. They're quite good, especially Axon, when it comes to the wheel-to-wheel midfield ruckus. So it's going to be interesting how it goes.
About to get going then. The lights coming off for the final time today. And we are underway for race 3 at Donington Park then. And it's Seifert that gets away from reverse group pole. Very, very well indeed. Axon tucking him behind, but Nurendorf is under attack then from Scott Mitchell-Malm and Adam Zirks. And Nurendorf is off. He gets tapped off into the gravel and straight into the wall. That's a horrible start for Peter Nurendorf into Redgate before they're even getting out of the first corner. He hits trouble, and now Tim Nurendorf is under attack from the third King's car of Luke Mitchell there, who makes his way through from 9th to 6th on the grid there. So great start for Luke Mitchell then, as we see Scott Mitchell-Malm getting past Adam Zooks into second then. And Scott Mitchell-Malm may be in a little bit of trouble for tapping around Peter Nurendorf, who's fallen right to the back grid. I believe he's still going though. And there's a Hunter Birch of Luca Gray that's gone off at McLean's then. And you see Adam Zooks trying to keep Jack Nichols at bay. But Roy Seifert, is he going to be able to lead at least a lap then? The soft's working well. Adam Zooks has somehow gotten onto the podium despite starting the race on medium tyres. So Jack Nichols senses a chance to take advantage here. Axon has fallen to 5th, but is keeping Nichols and Zooks in sight here. Zooks could be vulnerable as they start lap 2.
Yeah, Zooks a little bit wide coming out of the chicane, and so Nichols is going on the pounce with those soft tyres. He's going to have to go around the outside at Redgate, but Zooks holds on to that position. He pushes him out wide, and now he's got Axon for company now, and he's going up the inside of Nichols as they go down Hollywood.
Yeah, that was tough but fair. And just getting out the throttle in time is Axon, who decides not to go for that particular maneuver. Meanwhile, Luke Mitchell has got his hands full of Tim Nurendorf there, as everybody's starting to cut grass ahead of them, which could be getting them in a bit of trouble later on with track limits penalties. You see Hargitay, who of course is on the medium tyre, right behind Ballast Kiss, our championship leader, who's still in 8th. And Axon, into the wall! What happened to Axon there? I think he must have tagged the rear tyre of somebody there. As we see, Mark Horvath is the fastest man on track at the moment, setting a purple first sector. But that is absolute disaster from the man who started on the front row. But Seifert, meanwhile, continuing to hold Scott Mitchell-Malm at bay to the tune of 2.5 tenths.
Yeah, and they've managed to have a little bit of a gap over Zooks. Obviously, Zooks on those medium compound tyres. He's again under pressure from Nichols as they come into Redgate. Nichols has to go around the outside as Zooks defends, but Nichols looking for that cutback. but not quite got that momentum. As again they come down Craner curves, and there's a big gaggle of cars now queuing up behind Zooks.
Fastest final sector of the race so far for Luke Mitchell then. And Tim Neuendorf has joined the party too, so looking to avenge his father Peter, I think, by getting past at least one or maybe both of the King's cars if there's any opportunity to do so. Nick Homewood is still holding on to 10th, by the way, just in front of David Granville, has actually made a brilliant getaway. You see them just in the background there going through McLean's, both of them doing well to stay out of trouble. And both of them on the soft tyres too, so getting their chance. It looks like a lot of drivers who struggle in the early races have saved the softs to this point suddenly find that the car comes alive once they put the softs on. It's just like qualifying all over again for 14 laps. But now you see Adam Zooks forming a train here, and that's allowing our two leaders, Scott Mitchell and Seifert, to get away. But this time, Mitchell is going to go around the outside. He's alongside Roy Seifert going into turn one. Can Scott Mitchell snatch the lead? Seifert breaks deep into Redgate, and Scott Mitchell is going to cut underneath him. That's brilliant driving from Mitchell and he takes the lead with 10 laps to go there. So Seifert held on as best he could. He's still on the podium for Optiminal, but that is a chance to win that's surely gone out the window now.
Yeah, and obviously by the looks of things, no team orders at the moment at Kings, as Mitchell is now getting himself all tripped up around the back of Nichols and has now put himself back into the clutches of Neuendorf.
Yep, indeed he has. So they have to be careful how they manage this there. And look, as Scott Mitchell backed off again. Look how slow that sector was in Sector 2, because now Seifert's only right ahead of Adam Zooks, and then therefore only right ahead of Jack Nichols and Luke Mitchell. So Scott Mitchell again playing the team game here, and Adam Zooks the big loser here, although he's trying to gain and going right over the curb. But now Adam Zooks is almost distracted by having Roy Seifert right in front of him, and this gives a brilliant run to Jack Nichols, who tries to go around the outside, and he's going to try and drag Luke Mitchell with him too. Oh, and they collide, and off into the wall goes Adam Zooks there. What happened there is Neuendorf has gone off too.
Well, it looked like I didn't quite catch exactly what it was because we were in the far distance, but it almost just looked like Zooks kind of just turned in on Nichols, expecting Nichols to just disappear almost.
Yeah, I think he didn't realise or was hoping Jack Nichols would back out before turn one. Nichols got right at the throttle and tried to sort of avoid disaster, but it was too late by that point.
Nichols sideways. So Mitchell's going to have a run, surely.
Jack Nichols is going to leave space, almost certainly, but look at Ballast Kiss. He will take advantage too and cut underneath Jack Nichols. And now Tim Neuendorf is right behind Jack Nichols, just like he was in race 2. And he taps him around, and now it's Nichols' turn to be crunched into the barrier. Oh dear, so miscommunication central at Donington Park in race 3.
Yeah, and what was...
And Homewood and Nichols are battling over 8th. It looks like Nick Homewood has gotten through cleanly, though, but they are all just tripping over each other.
Yeah, and Kiss having a little bit of a sniff at Mitchell's into Redgate, and poor Nichols. Obviously, Nichols had a bit of a sniff of a victory there because he was showing good pace once he got on through. So tough for him, but now it's all down to Mitchell. See what he can do if he can catch up onto Mitchell now.
And is that more difficulties for Jack Nichols in the background? He tried to make a move on Nick Homewood going into Old Hairpin. He's gone off track as a result, as Tim Neuendorf has a little nibble at the back of Ballast Kiss in the fight for 4th there. But Seifert is now forming a big train. So Scott Mitchell has realised the folly there. Because he backed the pack up, far from gaining a position, it really disadvantaged Jack Nichols and put him into a position he didn't really want to be in. But it has cleared Adam Zooks out of the way then. So Roy Seifert, I think, still happy to be on the podium at the present moment with half the race still to go. Here as we see yellow flag at the final sector behind them. And Seifert desperately trying to hold on here. Luke Mitchell is going to fancy a run to the outside, and Neuendorf has got the grandstand seat as Luke Mitchell has to slot in 4/10 behind into Redgate then. And Ballast Kiss, the championship leader, looking to take a 3rd podium in a row. So even on the day where he's not won, he's just been consistently there, Ballast Kiss, and he's stayed out of trouble. But now he's not got Adam Zooks to help out. He's got to do all of this on his own, and he could be a little bit exposed here to Neuendorf.
Yeah, but at the same time, Hagentype taking a few liberties on the brakes there, closing in on Neuendorf. Obviously, now we've got a Hunter Birch car in the fight effectively for a podium.
Yeah, the one race where there's a Hunter Birch that's not on soft tyres and everyone else is on softs. He's on the mediums. He's somehow holding on to safe at the moment by the skin of his teeth. But Mark Horvath looking to relieve him. Oh, please don't spin him around. I've seen that happen before a couple of times. But this time, luckily, they both are sensible into the final chicane. And Horvath decides to live to fight another day. But look at Seifert. This has been a really good defensive drive so far. Scott Mitchell-Mom, he is checked out, and who can blame him, really, because, back everyone into each other strategy has not really paid off so far. Jack Nichols still running ninth, by the way, 2.7 seconds behind Nick Homewood. But, Homewood looks like he is going to finish a distant 8th unless Roy Seifert continues to hold up the pack here. So Nick Homewood's last at 108.9. Roy Seifert's last at 108.3. So Nick needs to up the pace if he wants to catch the back of Horvath, his Finovon, the sister teammate here. But Luke Mitchell is really looking confident now that he's got Seifert pretty much to himself. But Ballast Kiss, as he has pretty much all day, just been shadowing Luke Mitchell all the way through. This is a penalty for Peter Schoenemann. And for the man in 15th, that means he's not going to take the final points paying position. There's Adam Zux, still gamely battling on, trying to regain positions here on the medium tyre as he's stuck behind Stefan Nielsen. Looks like Horvath and Nichols were briefly battling there.
Nichols is going for on... sorry, is that Nichols?
Homewood, yes.
Homewood,
He's gone around the outside of Homewood, sorry. I was going to be a little bit confused. I saw Nichols had gained a position, but I didn't see who on. But now Luke Mitchell is just tucking it apart. It's another four-way fight, isn't it? It's now Adam Zux has another look up the inside of Nielsen into Redgate. Nielsen leaving plenty of room. He's been flipped enough times today. I think he's seen at least 7 different solar systems from the view of that car. He doesn't want to see another. So, avoiding contact as much best as possible. Still on for a very good 12th position in the last stint racing car is standby Stefan, as we used to call him. But he's becoming more of a permanent fixture, which is great to see then, as Roy Seifert just backing them all into each other. And that's really what he's got to do here if he wants to finish on the podium, because Luke Mitchell just looks so much quicker, and his best chance is if he lets Ballast Kiss take advantage here. He's just hogging the middle of the road and giving no room, but he gets right over the curb at the final corner. This is going to compromise this run into turn 1. Again, Seifert's got to defend the inside, and Kiss is coming as well.
Yeah, and Mitchell going around the outside. This time, is he going to outbrake into Redgate? He's having a go, but he's left the door open for Zux and Kiss, and Kiss is having a look at the inside, and he did actually give Mitchell a little bit of a kiss. Neuendorf's having a look round and into Hollywood. He's going to be up the inside.
That's very, very bold. And it's not worked out either.
How did they survive? Yeah, how was that not a plane crash down at the Craners? I do not know, but that's given some breathing space for Mitchell. Oh, and they've touched
No, it hasn't! Neuendorf hits him! And he knocks our championship leader off. Ballast Kiss is in the wall! Oh, dear. That's the last thing he wanted to happen. He's doing such a good job to stay out of trouble. And now, with a lot of damage, he comes out in 7th, just a few seconds ahead of Jack Nichols now. And now Luke Mitchell has broken away a little bit from Tim Neuendorf. Now Seifert is very, very exposed. He's got nobody to back Luke Mitchell into, unless he can hold him up to the tune of a second and back him into Neuendorf here. But Roy Seifert just having to really drive the race of his life to get what would be Optiminal's joint best finish.
Neuendorf getting an amazing exit out of the S's. He's going to have a look into Redgate. He's going for the inside into Redgate.
Oh, and he bang wheels. There's just enough space for Neuendorf and Luke Mitchell to make it through here. Luke Mitchell is not having an easy ride of this one, just to get onto the podium as well. And they're still side by side. Neuendorf is going to brave it out, this time round the outside at Hollywood and into the old hairpin. He's made it through. Oh, what a fantastic maneuver from the pot racer driver, Tim Neuendorf, onto the podium. And Luke Mitchell's flashing his lights as if to say, okay, I gave you space this time. Next time I won't be so charitable.
It was a great move.
Amazing bit of driving there by the pair of them, really. And it looks like Mitchell's still not very happy, but I mean, we're pretty happy here in the commentary box for this sort of racing. And Cypher still get another breath of fresh air in that second position.
Yeah, somehow Oliver Hargitay is up to 5th on the medium tyres here, and he's just agonisingly a second off the podium at the moment. But it's 2 positions. It would be a big ask for him to do it in the final race of the day. He's still driven absolutely fantastically to keep Horvath at bay and keep these 3 cars inside of him, as all one of the Dalmas coming right out of the pit lane and almost having to come right to a corral not to collect anybody. But he was right outside the racing line there, so the good thing he stopped when he did, but that could potentially be a penalty coming his way if he wasn't careful there. But and certainly, if not a collision. But Seifert, just 2 laps to go, and Tim Neuendorf now we know is not shy about sending up the inside, hanging out around the outside any which way he can, and he's got a good run coming into McLean's Ryan.
Yeah, and he's definitely got a bit more pace, but Mitchell's now got a bit of a run, but he goes off wide at the McLean's exit.
Oh, he sort of had to do that. Oh, looks like David Granville is finding a way with Nick Homewood, and Homewood has dropped to 11th behind Adam Zooks as well, so not a good final race of the day. And Mitchell's got a penalty for cutting the track. That's terrible news for him. Zazielski as well. So everybody's starting to run out of penalty points from cutting the circuit here. Surely Luke Mitchell has got to come in for that drive-through. No, he's staying out another lap, and he's going to risk being disqualified here if he doesn't serve that penalty before the final lap here. Now Adam Zook's making another move on David Granville as he lifts both of his left-hand side wheels, and look at this. Seifert under attack from both angles. Luke Mitchell wants to make it through, and he's got past Tim Neuendorf. Can he make it 2 moves in 1 before he has to serve that penalty?
Well, Seifert's going to have the inside coming down the crane, but Mitchell's going to be on the inside for the old Herbin, but somehow Seifer hangs it out around the outside and keeps that 2nd position.
Oh, they're almost going to go 3 wide here into McLean's. This is not ideal, and Hargitay licking his lips because he knows Luke Mitchell could be heading to the pits for super. Here comes Horvath up the inside into McLean's, and oh, he's going to almost spin. He does spin Hargitay around. Oh dear, that was so clumsy and so unfortunate for the both of them, and could be a penalty coming Mark Horvath's way there, but Hargitay does collect it back up then, and Neuendorf now stuck behind Luke Mitchell once again after that brilliant maneuver. Is Mitchell surely going to come in to serve that penalty, which could rescue the bacon of Roy Seifert? Surely he's got to come in before the final lap, and indeed he does so. So Luke Mitchell will be absolutely frustrated with that one there. Terevic is in the pits as well, serving that penalty. I think Zazielski has already come in to serve his. And now Ballas Kiss is all over the back of Horvath and trying to make his way through after that earlier spin. So Ballas Kiss is somehow back in 4th, despite almost being thrown into the barrier and facing the wrong way at one point.
Yeah, and obviously Mitchell's going to be even more frustrated by the fact that he was going to make a decent haul of points up on Kiss there because he had a few cars in between him. But now it's going to have to be a bit of a salvation job for him now as we look to Neuendorf all over the back of Seifert on this last lap. But Mitchell Marm 6 seconds in the lead as he comes down to this final chicane to take the win. But Neuendorf still in the slipstream of Seifert.
Well, over the curbs he goes to the final time. It's 3 Kings wins in a row, but this time it's not Luke Mitchell. It's his brother Scott Mitchell-Marm that takes the honours from 3rd on the grid. But here comes Neuendorf. It's going to be a charge to the line. Can he take 2nd off of Roy Seifert? No, Seifert's going to hold on. And it's another 2nd place in race 3. 2 events in a row for Optiminal Esports then, as they all finish now behind. It's Ballas Kiss in 4th. Hargitay still finishes 5th despite being taken out by Horvath, and I think Mark Horvath actually let Oliver Hargitay through on the final lap. So that was amazing sportsmanship. So I rescind my comments about Mark Horvath there. It clearly was not intended in any way whatsoever. And Jack Nichols recovers from being spun around himself to finish in the top 7, just ahead of Adam Zooks, actually, who himself was spun around in the collision with Jack Nichols. So they're not going to be particularly happy with each other there, because I think they've cost themselves a chance of a podium. Nick Homewood, in his final event in sim racing, does beat David Granville to 9th, as we now see replays of the start then, and oh my goodness, that was so messy there. And there's Neuendorf being sent off. Did one of the King's cars hit him, or was it somebody else? It's a little bit hard to tell in the melee there.
Yeah, and and this is where Gray went off, going up to McLean. So there's a bit of a touch there.
Oh, that was, yeah, it was the Finnevon that also spun off behind him. I believe that was a Schienemann. Was it? Oh,
Was
wasn't
it
Nick
Homewood?
No,
it was
Nick
just...
was it was all on his own, and then Nick just drifted off in avoidance. In fact, did it way more successfully. Just lost the one position there. So amazing car control from Nick Homewood, and that's what we're losing. But Lorenzo Terovic, he's not really making himself particularly popular with that move there. And I think that was Luca Gray deciding he had enough at the very back of the grid. And there's Axon. I think Axon seemed to drop it on his own, just spun his wheels up over the curb, didn't he? Right behind the King's car of Mitchell.
Yeah, and this is Alessia.
Oh, and over he goes. Oh dear. And he lands right on the barrier and he's going into the fans. Oh dear, the marshals better stop that car. Alessia deciding, and Schoenemann joins the party as well. There we go. Peter Schoenemann, veteran of 102 races in the EERC British Touring Cars there. And there's the Zux Nichols collision there. That's really difficult to call here. Jack Nichols just had a wheel alongside, and I think Zux tried to return to the racing line a little bit too late for my money there. Yeah,
definitely it looked as though Zux was trying to take space that wasn't there. And this is Nichols being taken out here as we see...
very, very similar, I have to say, except I think Jack Nichols will argue that Tim Neuendorf wasn't far enough alongside. Yeah, I think Tim was a little bit further back on that one.
Yeah,
that's a bit harder to call for me.
Yeah, that was a very 50-50 on that one.
Yeah,
obviously
it was a late move by Tim.
It did seem like the space was there, and then it disappeared as they went over the bump.
This is what happened to Axon and Szylski. Oh, well, that's one way to make an overtake by spinning him around and then lifting wheels over the curbs there. And I think Krzysztof Szylski feels he got punted out of the way there. And this is what happened, I think, just before. Or just after, sorry. And, very good driving, actually, by Peter Neuendorf to avoid that one there. But, yeah, Szylski having all sorts of misadventures out there. And here's Lorenzo Terovic. And I think, that must be the cut that got in the penalty. And then deciding to smash into the wall for good measure. Not a good day for Lorenzo.
Yeah, just narrowly being avoided by Wanko there.
Yeah, and here is Toy Wanko and having a big moment of his own. So, oh my goodness me. It's like everybody saw Nilsson do that flip in race 2 and thought, that looks fun. I want to do that. And there's Horvath backing off after the collision with, what we're seeing now. So, it's difficult to see from the wing mirror. Yeah, you can see a better view from... Yeah, definitely contact from Mark Horvath there.
Yeah,
well, if Hargitay is not able to keep it in a straight line, then...
Yeah, I was going to say, that was Hargitay cutting the nose of Horvath by the looks of things.
Yeah, if a late defense, but technically he did get spun around, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mark Horvath nonetheless actually showing a lot of sportsmanship, because I think it was a lap later that he actually let Hargitay back through. And anyway, before the server ticks over, let's go through the overall final results then. Scott Mitchell-Mom makes it 3 wins for Kings in a row, but could have been a bigger points haul for them today. But nonetheless, they do take 3 wins. Roy Seifert takes a fantastic second after starting on pole for Optiminal Esports. That was about as well as it could have gone for Roy Seifert, I think. He'll be delighted for that, the Dutchman making his return after a couple of years away. Tim Neuendorf is third. Great to see Tim back on the podium, holding off Ballast Kiss. Then Oliver Hargitay is 5th on the medium tyres after a race-long duel with Mark Horvath. Jack Nichols is 7th. Him and Adam Zux will be remonstrating with each other, I'm sure, after this one. Nick Homewood, his final race of his career, it does end with all of his 3 events in the top 10. So I think Nick can feel justifiably quite proud of that. David Granville, said that David Granville didn't really have anyone to race with up until now, but that was actually a really strong final race for David Granville to finish in the top 10. So he can take a bow for that. That was his best performance of his career so far. Luke Mitchell, sadly down in 11th after his misfortune. Then it's Axon in 12th. Peter Neuendorf taken out right at the start, but he didn't give up. He still finished in 13th. Peter Schoenemann is 14th behind his namesake after flipping over. Then it's Stefan Nilsson who takes the final point from Krzysztof Szylski, Yuzu Cic, Toy Wanko, Lorenzo Terovic, and then Jacob Alessia failing to get to the checkered flag along with Luca Gray, who decided to call it a day early on in that final encounter. Oh, so an interesting one for the championship there. We've got one driver that wants to talk to us. It's Lorenzo Terovic. Perhaps he wants to react to some of the things we've been saying about his driving.
We've also got Luke Mitchell in there as well.
Well, let's talk to Luke first then, as we see the calendar for the final 2 events of the season, of course. Mid-Ohio, 5th of February, and then our final event, the Salzburg Ring, on the 19th of February. Hopefully we can get a final interview as a driver for Nick Homewood as well, before he hangs up his helmet. But anyway, let's talk to race 1 and 2 winner, Luke Mitchell. So we're now joined by Luke Mitchell, Kings Racing's very own winner of races 1 and 2. So Luke, obviously, I know a very, very frustrating ending to race 3 there, down in 11th position. But races 1 and 2, you got onto pole position, you controlled both of the races. In the case of race 2, a very, very narrow margin as well, in terms of you just backing Kiss into your teammate Jack Nichols as well. So I guess race 1, you sort of disappeared into the distance, and once the Simcoes was sort of taken care of, there wasn't really too much to worry about. But yeah, race 2 was really the big one.
Yeah, race 1 was get in front, build a gap, and then just sort of manage it. I had to be quite careful the second half of the race because the track limits were quite strict, and I sort of got halfway to a drive-through, so it was very try and just be sensible. But race 2 was very difficult. Jack said the same. Obviously, Kiss and Shooks are so fast. I mean, I don't think I had more than half a second at any point in that race with Kiss. So it was just driving with your mirrors, basically.
Yeah, but Zux, of course, had used up his softs in race 1 and had sort of backed off to let Kiss finish second. So in race 2, Kiss was a little bit, was a little bit vulnerable, because that allowed Jack to make that move up the inside, didn't it? And that was quite helpful for you, because Kiss couldn't focus on getting past you because he had to worry about Jack Nichols, who it looked like you were backing him into.
Yeah, I mean, I did say to Jack with about 6 laps ago, I said, you need to get closer, because if I make a mistake, he's through. But if you're there, at least it makes him think twice. But no, I weren't really backing Jack up. I think I was just driving too tentatively. I had one big lockup going into the final chicane, and I didn't want to do that again. So I was driving a bit tentatively on the brakes. But obviously it paid off. So.
And finally, a word on race 3 from my side, before I let Ryan ask questions. But in race 3, of course, your brother Scott Mitchell got the lead off of Roy Seifert early on. And I think, as you've been alluding to, it was the track limits that unfortunately did for your race right near the end. But it was a really, really good fight to watch between you, Roy, and Tim Neuendorf again. Tim made an absolutely outrageous move on you down into Hollywood, didn't he? He tried to go around the outside, and then he switched to the inside the lap after. So he's certainly not shy about showing his nose, is he?
No, he does put his nose in. And he leaves it there as well sometimes, and you think, so it makes you think whether you've got to open up the corner and stuff, which is fair game. A couple of bumps, but it was all touring car racing. But I was pleased for Scott to get the win. King's clean sweep for the night. But yeah, it's a good battle with Roy as well. He positions his car so well defensively, so it's so hard to make a move on him. It was a shame that Jack had the incident with Tim and Adam. I've looked at him briefly. I think at both occasions, both cars ahead are sort of slightly moving over, so not too much to worry about, I don't think.
Well, wasn't Jack the car ahead in the second collision?
Yeah. So the one with Adam on the main straight looks like Adam comes across, but on the one with Tim, Jack kind of moves over, so kind of got one, gave one.
Yeah, we'll have to see. It looked a little tricky to judge from my perspective. But anyway, good news is Kings Racing now have jumped KV86 Powerhouse, I think, quite convincingly with those 3 wins. So Teams Championship, while Simcoe have still got a big lead, over 400 points, I'm pretty sure Kings Racing have got something like 250 points at the very least at the moment. So it's not completely over just yet, and it's certainly been a good comeback for Kings, and was yet to see the drop score come into effect. We'll have to see. I'm sure Nick is going to be furious getting the calculator out in the next week or so. But anyway, congrats, Luke. And Ryan, you got anything to say to Luke before you let him go?
I'd probably say, obviously, after a very strong Donington Park, obviously minus the final race with the penalty, how are you feeling going into the last 2 races of the season?
Yeah, it should be good fun. We've had the pace all season, really. It's a shame that I had to miss both the Brands rounds, but yeah, it should be. We get. It's quite fortunate for myself, obviously, we're missing those 2 rounds that we come back with Norris Ring. We had no ballast, and then because there was only 2 races, you couldn't gain too much ground. So then I had a small amount of ballast for qualifying today. I'll probably move up a couple of places, but I still won't have anywhere near what Kiss and Shooks have got. So it should be fun for the rest of the season.
Yeah, Luke, you should petition to get that race back that you lost due to bad weather delaying the start of Norris Ring.
Yeah, it's a shame because obviously you got the drop scores. I'm going to drop nothing because I've missed 2, but they're going to drop from Norris Ring probably because that will be their lowest score because there was only 2 races.
Oh, of course, yeah. I hadn't thought about that. But anyway, congrats very much to yourself and your brother on the wins, Luke. And best of luck for Mid-Ohio on the 5th of February in about a week's time, or 2 weeks' time, sorry.
Thank you very much.
So then, as we let Luke Mitchell leave the commentary box, let's talk to Lorenzo Raterovic, of course, returning to the championship and having lots of misadventures. I'm sure he's got plenty to say. Lorenzo, sorry to keep you waiting. Of course, 3 interesting races. I noticed the last one had a couple of flips there, and and you weren't the only one, to be fair. But I think I'm trying to think of positives because I'm struggling to remember. We didn't see a whole lot of you on stream, but
Good.
Talk us through it from your perspective then.
My perspective is not very promising. For the first race, I was struggling a lot with my force feedback for some reason. It was really jumpy, especially in low-speed corners. So I had a bit of trouble, for example, through the S's with my rear end stability. So I had a couple of spins there, but I managed to tough it out. Admittedly, not without accidents, but I tried to keep it as clean as possible. Race 2, I tried to fix it before race 2, but just as I was loading back into the server, the race started again, so I wasn't able to start the race. And as for race 3, I was already feeling a bit knackered because yesterday at training I had a bit of an accident and my left ring finger is swollen, so it hurts a bit to downshift. And at a point, I just got a drive-through penalty for track extending, and I just got fed up and sent it through the chicane while I was going through to serve it. And I can't say I meant to launch myself off the sausage curb, but I also wasn't quite particularly bothered by it. So yeah, it wasn't a particularly enjoyable race, but I'm nevertheless glad that I did it.
Yeah, I think, did we see someone bump you out the way at the final chicane as well?
Did we? I didn't feel anything.
It might have been one of the other Dalmas, so I'm getting confused with. But yeah, they also blend into one for me in a little bit. But anyway, I guess 2 rounds to go. I'm speaking of the ring finger. That sounded a bit concerning. So I'm sure your wife probably won't mind if you take off the ring and go see a doctor if it's hurting that badly.
It's a good thing I've not had the phase of my life where I have a ring on it yet. But
oh, right, it's a thing. It's a finger you would put a ring on, but not a wedding ring. Okay.
No, it is the wedding ring. I'm bad at English today for some reason.
Oh no! I totally get you. I totally get you. Yeah.
Okay, I think I understand too. It's the ring finger, but it's not the ring
on my left hand.
It's your left hand. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay. I'm making this more complicated. What I'm saying is, if it hurts, see a doctor. That's all I'm trying to say.
Oh well.
Get confused about which finger it is. But anyway, Ryan, I'm running out of questions for Lorenzo. Have you got anything for him?
Sorry.
Well, No, not particularly. Although it's obviously quite tough racing towards the midfield and back of the pack. Is there any sort of highlights that you find throughout the season so far? Any people that you've quite enjoyed having battles with?
So far, well, I haven't been quite successful so far. I've only done Norrisring and Donington today. But seeing as I own Down Motor Racing, I've been quite happy with how the team has been doing this season, especially since we weren't quite able to sign up in time for round one. So we're a round down on everyone else. And the fact that we managed to compete for the points fairly successfully, I guess you could say, with James Knox over the season, and today David as well has gotten points, his first points in EERC, which I'm very happy with. I've known David for about 4 years now, so as someone who I'm a good friend with, as well as with James, I'm very happy that they're doing well in this league, since I'm not as able as they are to do so.
Oh, that's very supportive of you. So also congratulations to David Granville on that 10th place in race 3. It was indeed a fantastic drive. And best of luck to you too, Lorenzo, for the rest of the season. And you can fix your force feedback issues and that you don't have physical pain whenever you downshift in that hand.
Hopefully I do feel better, both setup-wise and physically-wise, for the next race, because Mid-Ohio is a track that I'm quite a big fan of, and it would be pretty bad if some third party, I guess, issues came along and ruined it for me. I know I won't be really competitive, but I would still like to do the races.
Well, we've enjoyed having you, Lorenzo, and certainly great to have your presence there in that second half of the season. So best of luck to you and to the Downma team as a whole.
Thank you, and you might be seeing more of us under a different name in GPWC FS1.
Ooh.
Yeah, there was
another
something about
series that I also commented on, so a bit of cross-advertising there. Anyway, I think it's time we say goodbye, Lorenzo, but thank you for coming to talk to us, and well done for getting to the end of all 3 races, if I remember correctly. Yeah, you did finish all of them, yeah.
No, only done race 1 and 3. Race 2, I wasn't able to rejoin the server back in time. While fixing FFP.
Well, I didn't notice, so they'll count as a finish.
Probably both for the better that wasn't noticed.
All right. Anyway, thank you very much for coming to talk to us. And as we let Lorenzo Terovic leave the commentary box, there's one driver we've yet to talk to, and that is Mr. Nick Homewood, of course, competing for the final time in his career, Nick. Obviously, very emotional, but 3 pretty decent races to end on, Nick, and you finished all 3 of them in the top 10, with a best of, I think, 7th in race 1, if memory serves correctly. So
I was a bit cheesed off about missing the reverse grid by 1 position.
It's always the way, though.
Everyone would have called it rigged, wouldn't they?
I'm sure Roy doesn't mind. Anyway, how did you feel about it? Because it seemed like you picked up roughly where you left off. You qualified solidly in the top 10. You had some good battles out there. Jack Nichols had a couple of goes at you.
Yeah, I love Donington. It's one of my favourite tracks. So it's part, if there was one place to have the last race, it's pretty good. It was there. I just haven't driven anything since Silverstone, so I was quite happy that I can still remember how to drive.
Apart from the safety car, of course. But I think Thomas did a very good job of the safety car period that we had in race 2.
That was his job. That's what we pay him for. We don't pay him.
What? I have not heard of that.
Good.
We'll pay him in safety points, which is
Yay!
It's worth nothing. Less than nothing, actually. So Thomas is to pay us. Well, you rather, Nick.
I will get 1 extra message per safety car lap on the Fine Alvin server. I think that's a good payout.
But anyway, taking the attention back to Nick, of course. Is there anything else you want to say about the event coming back here and doing that race? Because obviously there's a lot of emotions right now. You've made the decision to step down and focus on management, so it's not a goodbye, because we'll still hear you in the commentary box and obviously running the rest of this season as well. But it's a goodbye from the end of one chapter in the cockpit, isn't it? And obviously there's been some highs, some lows, but it's been fantastic to watch. And me and Josh and a couple others and Ryan too, we've all been sort of commentating. I think I've been commentating all the way through your career as well. So it's emotional for me too to see the end of an era, really.
Yeah, well, I think the most important thing is that it was fun. Well, I know a lot of people take sim racing very seriously, but the best part of sim racing is getting to, especially 24-hour races or whatever, just spend time with people, with good people, and you meet good people in sim racing, and I've made a lot of good friends. So it was worth it. I'm happy, but unfortunately I don't have the time anymore to put any effort in. So all good things come to an end.
They do. Luckily, I have actually had the time to prepare a small tribute video to you, which I wanted to throw to Ryan before I show it to you. But Ryan, any questions for Nick before we we show what I've put together?
It's probably going to be, what's the feeling going to be like when it comes to race days and, you're not going to be behind the steering wheel anymore?
I haven't been doing too much anyway recently, so it's good to not kind of have the expectation almost.
It was more of a Jensen Button style one-off comeback, and then
I'm more worried about this.
Any more penalties.
I remember it was Silverstone Endurance where Ed made a compilation of me spinning out the pit lane, and I'm pretty sure it's just that because I spun about 7 times.
I was tempted, but I haven't done that. But anyway,
still got that saved somewhere.
Okay, if we can play that after. But anyway, here is the tribute we put together for you, Nick. Pascal, take it away.
I think Nick needs to join into my stream.
I can see.
Okay.
The other two, he really is pushing. Maybe the dream
okay, I can
isn't
just do the
over
commentary
yet.
again.
Oh, I think Nick Homewood's going to defend this with everything he's got, though. Frenzy has launched his assault just a bit too late, I
did
think.
Josh's
This
bit as
could
well.
be the moment, Ed.
Oh, he's going for it.
Oh, I can remember this all off the top of my head.
And they spin, I can't believe
There we go.
it.
Oh, it's missing all the inspirational music. Hopefully that's showing up on stream.
For Ring of Bond Racing, their first victory in
But,
EERC, but so nearly taken away from them there. We knew
was it on the
Frenzy
last
was going to
lap?
try something, and we get
Was.
donuts from Homewood.
Oh,
That was a historic victory. Such a close
Happy
finish.
days.
And he knows he's earned that one every step of the way. Well
Okay,
done, Nick
20
Homewood.
laps
Well
down.
done to the 444 squad.
Here comes Nick Homewood.
There was always
Go
one,
for
wasn't
it.
there?
He's going for it, and he's being pushed into the wall. Homewood's going to take
Oh, that
the
was a
lead.
great one.
Laying the
The
pace, but
bright
it's
side
not
and wet
for
track.
Petrovsky, and he's gone
It's a lot
wide.
brighter than I remember when I
Homewood takes the
rendered it
lead.
Okay.
Oh my goodness me!
But that
And Nick
track
Homewood,
was
the first
broken,
time
wasn't it? It
ever,
was really tiny.
leads to a racing ERC touring cars.
Oh.
Now searching for grip, it looks
The
like
tiny
he's going
track.
to the extreme limits as it runs on the wall.
Oh,
to the
they
wall
both go wide! Oh dear!
Nick gets
This
second.
is a cut
What
there.
a
I
race!
missed
And
Nick being
there's
overtaken,
already
but
so
I
much
just wanted to show
margin
him
on the
finishing
inside and
second.
more contact. And
Oh,
that's going to be
that
big,
race.
big comments for
Yeah.
Vestra Horvath as
There was
well
a bit
as
of a,
Homewood manages to sneak through him into fourth position. Homewood's
Altercation
got to
with
put a
Sonovel.
barrier between
Remember
him and
that.
Hunt. It's not working. Hunt goes the dive bomb as well. Doesn't work out.
Yeah,
Has taken
good.
such a tight inside line. Doesn't pay off now. Into the hairpin. Dive bomb the inside line. Oh, and Homewood's doing it. Look.
Racing Academy.
Does he come out ahead? He does.
And then
That's
Jonathan Jones
crucial.
being
Homewood gets
undercut in
out
attack mode.
ahead of Jones
no,
in
overcut,
attack mode.
Let not take away from Nick
Again,
Homewood's drive up into
Oh.
third position,
It's a good livery. as
and
well.
wow!
Brilliant!
Well,
What
Manny
a
made it.
podium!
It's,
What a happy podium!
For the second time ever, it's Frinavon.
Road America,
the
yeah.
win in EERC.
That was a good-
Nick
when,
Homewood and Mario Valencia.
Mario changed
in
the
the
setup
Triple 4
about 10
win
minutes
with
before
the
the race.
GT3
They didn't have any running on the
6 hours
setup.
of Road America. What a superb performance by the
Absolutely
both.
winging it.
A lap
And then I
ahead of
nearly hit the
everyone
wall
else.
about 5 laps from the end
13
and didn't
precious
tell anyone.
points, and now Homewood attacks Patrick O'Magnuson for second position.
I don't think he
told
me. Look at this.
Laps remaining, and Hackett
look, remember that.
weeping in the background. Has fallen off the road there as Homewood Is he
Not
going to
the
go
last
up to
breath.
second place? Yes, he is, using that less pass to go up the inside of Magnussen. And don't
I
forget,
remember
Nick
how
Homewood
excited
now
you were
winning
after
race
that
drive.
race.
He's had to his
Oh,
first podium of the
that was
season.
a great
Up the
moment.
inside,
I was
Randy
excited
Horton
after
goes.
the
Nick
gate
Homewood,
today.
so the Welshman I remember being very is overheated under after attack. this And, oh, just locks up. Oh. Nick Homewood holds on.
Nearly
Getting taken his third podium. He had to wait ages
It doesn't
for a
look
second.
quite
His
as
third
deep
came
fried on
almost
YouTube,
immediately,
so I think
but Matthew
Okay.
Lee
we're
really
all
pushed
good.
him all the way
No,
near
it's not
the
that
end.
deep red. It's the HDR on my end.
Oh, but thank you, Ed.
No.
Good
Let's go back
times.
shall we get back to reintroducing it? 3, 2, 1. Well, there you go. A special tribute with the most generic inspirational music we could find, Nick. So
Royalty
I hope you
free.
enjoyed. Yes, exactly. No expense spared. There we go. Like I said, there was that temptation to just use that one endurance race at Silverstone where you spun about 8 times in a row because of a wheel issue or something. if I
Yeah, it
remember
was
correctly.
the I don't know, something bugged out with the rear tires with 0 degrees and they wouldn't warm up.
It would have been fun to see inspirational music just over every time something went wrong. Just like if I'd gone to every race you've been taken out on the first
The
lap.
compilation would have been a lot longer.
That's true. But yeah.
Funnily enough, in the last race today, in race 3, my wheel started giving up. My engine kept turning, kept inputting random buttons, and my engine kept turning off.
Oh, is that it? Just deciding, right, it's time to stop now.
Yeah,
Is that
good
what-
timing, eh?
Yeah. Wow. But anyway, it's been a pleasure commentating on you, Nick. And if you ever want to race anything else in the future, I'm happy to come out and commentate on it. But yeah, it's been amazing working with you. I'm going to continue working with you because obviously you're still running the championship. But yeah, EERC wouldn't quite be the same without you. So
Thank you.
pretty much. Did we sign off on stream yet? Do I need to sign off on stream or we're not on stream?
No, we're on stream.
Okay, right. Okay, so thank you very much to everyone for watching round 6 of the EERC British Touring Car Championship here from Donington Park. So that's 3 wins for Kings Racing, Luke Mitchell winning races 1 and 2, and his brother Scott Mitchell-Marm triumphing in race 3. But of course, we say goodbye from the cockpit to Nick Homewood in his last appearance, and I hope you've all enjoyed watching him as much as I have commentating on him, and indeed everybody else that takes part in EERC British Touring Cars putting on another fantastic show. We'll be back February 5th at Mid-Ohio for the penultimate round as the championship continues to heat up with Simcoe and Ballast Kiss looking to clinch it out. But from me, from Ryan Ferris, our broadcast director Pascal Leggett, the man who runs the championship Nick Homewood, and the man driving the safety car Thomas Rashke, it's goodbye, and we'll see you in a few weeks'